Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, one and all, 1,000 viewers strong watching this fantastic last quarter-final, the fourth quarter-final to decide who meets Devem, Von Ivan and Luvnest on the grand stage of the semi-finals. This is the big one. It's between Barton PL, the Polish malevolent troll.
That's right, he's going to be playing up against one of the community's favourite players. It's HelpingHans. He's going to be playing as the Austere on the north side of Crossroads, a map that was chosen by Barton, and we're yet to find out why.
But Barton isn't just a troll, he's also one of the greatest tournament-level players in Company of Heroes history. SNF 5 champion Barton. Barton is a true contender. Barton, mathematically speaking, based on auto-match performance, was seed 14 on the spreadsheet. We then gave him seed 6 because it's Barton. And Barton does things to players in tournaments that are quite frankly unspeakable. He's a great player, and this is going to be a great match.
It is indeed, and I think actually we're seeing something different from Barton that we've seen recently. A lot of the things we've seen from Barton have involved Sniper First. Sniper First is a way of Barton saying, I'm going to get you straight away. I'm going to get you in the early game. And this time, I think he's actually either giving a bit of a mark of respect to HelpingHans.
No, this is not a mark of respect. Do you not see it? This is going to be a stroke of malevolent genius from Barton. Barton, who's trolled HelpingHans for 6 years. Barton, that knocked HelpingHans out of so many tournaments in Company of Heroes 2's past. Barton looks set to go for the Soviet meta that HelpingHans despises. HelpingHans talks about the Soviet Lend-Lease meta, penals first, tier 1 heavy, with such hatred in his voice on stream. He's literally broadcast to the world that here I am, I'm HelpingHans, I hate Lend-Lease Soviets. Please don't use it to me in a tournament. I'd really appreciate it if you didn't. And I've got a seeking suspicion that Barton will not be going for the strat you just saw Luvnest use in the previous series, the KV1 heavy counterattack tactics strategy that he's famous for. Maybe Barton's going to be going for a little bit of Lend-Lease. What do you think, Dan?
I'm not sure. I think actually Barton's very, very good, and this is why it's nice watching Barton. He's very, very good at faking things. Not seeing that Sniper First, I think, actually might catch Hands off guard. It might be the signal, hey, he's going to go for Lend-Lease. This is going to be terrible. But we haven't seen Lend-Lease picked. So this, to me, I mean, we saw Barton go straight in with KV1 last time. So I think he's potentially going to go for it, but I think he's actually looking to fake. I think this build, because the sniper's coming in.
Hans was fearing this, by the way. Hans was definitely fearing Barton throwing in the Lend-Lease.
Yeah.
We know Barton's always used the sniper first as a mark of tradition for his clanmates past from his 6 years of history of going sniper first. Crazy. But regardless, so HelpingHans maybe just fearing now he's seen penals, it's going to throw a just psychological metadrama inside HelpingHans' head. Barton knows better than anybody how to get under HelpingHans' skin.
It's true, yeah. And I think like a really, really big part of this is probably one of the series where we're going to watch players just get mentally degraded. Because that's really the key. It's probably the tipping point for one of these players winning is getting under the others. For Barton, it will be the fact that he hasn't been able to rattle James. And for James, it'll be the fact that he's, getting rattled.
But is James getting rattled? Because he seems to be going for an Aimstrong / Devem.
No, I think he's doing the right thing.
But he's got 4 Grens. That's a heavy tier 1 now. He's got MG42. This is not... Oh, God. SBT's on retreat. Pioneer. Negative. No, just about medium cover. He does about maintain a good amount of received accuracy. Lack of debuff there, so he's able to survive.
Yeah, that was lucky for Hans. I mean, really probably could have ended up losing that, but not really his fault that he got pushed on the retreat there. He's been trying to push that territory off. I think he's done the right thing with the 4 Grens, because I think he's called Barton's bluff. Because I think, having the sniper out, having 4 Grens to constantly push that, I think is a very, very good thing. So he's going to be able to get a lot of map control. He's going to, directly overcome tier 1 Soviets.
Check out the KD for me. I just want to see who's got the most kills so far. As I thought Barton has with the SVTs. So I think the 4 Grens have been basically cannon fodder so far for the SVT rifles of Barton and the sniper. I just don't think it's gone that well in terms of manpower.
Half that kill count is made up by the snipers, so he's got the 4 Grens now. This is where we can push. Engagements like this without snipers running away, with the Grens pursuing. Barton's going to be quick to respond though with 2 penal battalions, and Hans is not going to stay in that situation. He knows the result of this, but he cannot keep that MG there with the sniper hanging around, because again it's just free manpower for Barton to pick away at.
It is indeed. It's an uncountered sniper at the moment. It's a heavy tier 1 from Helping Hands, possibly designed to counter Lend-Lease tactics. That is the prevalent thought in Company of Heroes meta at the moment. You think Lend-Lease is on the horizon, try and muscle them out in the early game. He's now just chosen to go Battle Phase 1. Any signs of actual tier 2 being built as of yet?
Not yet, no. I think he's about to go up here. Looks like the engineers are running off to do that. I don't think he's got the build in, but he's not going to be able to afford it, sorry. But the thing is, like, he's done very well on resources in the early game. You know, he's had double fuel coming in. He's still got that in for another couple of seconds. In fact, it's linked in through the VP, so Barton might consider getting something in there quickly. But Hans has done a very good job of kind of mitigating the effect of penals whilst taking double fuel. That's going to benefit him so much as it gets into the game, and it's a good steal for him.
It really is. Getting double fuel like that can actually help elevate a heavy tier 1 build into something a lot more dangerous, which is getting perhaps some early scout cars on the field, flame half track maybe, or tier 3 a lot sooner than you'd otherwise have it. Here we go. 2 G43 rifles upgraded for the Grenadiers. That's going to make the Soviet scout sniper team a target. It's going to allow the Grenadiers to cope with the penal battalions a hell of a lot better. And it's also going to give them better maneuverability as a firing platform because, of course, the G43s can fire on the move.
Yeah, it's going to be... I'm kind of predicting he's going to go for a rush on that sniper. I think we might actually get to see tactical movement used if he decides to really push that. You know, the threat of that Barton may just end up removing everything from the field in full retreats.
Pioneer's currently... What's that Pioneer up to, Dan? What's it just finished? That was tier 2. There you go. So he has gone for a traditional tier 2 build, which will allow him to, of course, have access to the Pack 40 should he need it, which was sorely missing, in my personal opinion, from that earlier Aimstrong display against Luvnest.
It is, yeah. I have a feeling he will go for Scout Car relatively quickly. There's not much on the field for it at the moment. He does have Minesweepers on the Pioneers, which I think he's maybe going to go Scout first so that his Scout Car has a good run on the field. It's good. It's intelligent play. And it's what we like to see, but Soviets have started to come into their element now, when they build up units. And oh, actually, half-track's in the build.
Okay, he's changed. All right, he's got the half-track coming out. Helping Hands is an absolutely formidable half-track user. He's always used half-tracks to great effect, especially in high-pressure tournament games. How he prefers to play, if he's not being ultra-aggressive, he likes to build a line-up. He likes to reinforce his forces on the field with a half-track. It's a great idea, but also you've got to consider Barton does now have a Maxim out, so Barton, the half-track could get a Flammenwerfer upgrade and rush the Maxim and literally destroy it, quite frankly.
So obviously we've got the obvious doctrine pick from Hans, but Barton still hasn't picked one. He's got the Maxim out, so the likelihood of him going Dushki may go for counter-attack tactics, which we saw him go for before. We saw him play that very well.
Here we go. Is the half-track... It doesn't have the upgrade, it's just feigning the upgrade right now. It's doing enough to push the units away because Barton does not know that the half-track is not upgrading to the flamethrower. That, again, is psychological from Helping Hands. It's great. It's called a feint. You're feigning the idea that he has the flamethrower coming, and he doesn't. It's all psychological, and it's why Company Heroes 2 is a fantastic competitive experience.
That's right, we can see the map here. Hans is starting to push up through the middle, and yeah, it's looking like a pretty strong game for him at the moment. He has to just try and really work up against the penal battalions. If Barton does decide to go for counter-attack, bear in mind he's always got reserve. We saw Talisman use this really well, you know, just flinging the penal battalions, getting into like floods of conscripts, which would work very well.
I've seen Barton literally not go a commander as a mark of disrespect to players in the past as well.
Oh?
Honestly, he's done that. It's like... I didn't even have to pick a commander. You got to remember that Barton does not fear hands just as much as... Ooh, what was that there? Was that a demo with something inside it, perhaps?
Nothing inside. It was Hans scouting the demo charge there.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. We do have the Zis gun out. It's going to contend with the possible... That's, by the way, is a reaction to the idea of the flame half-track. So Helping Hands push Barton into getting the Zis gun. And getting tier 2, which could delay tier 3 a little bit. But it's always good to have a Zis gun. And it will always come in good use, especially with Barton, who literally won SNF 5 with Master Zis guns and KV8 heavy tanks.
One of the nice things I like here is as the sniper's picking away at the support weapons, Hans is going to be able to reinforce them from the half-track should he wish to. There we go, there's the reinforcement. So with the Grenadiers with the G43s, he's going to hold a very solid front line. The sniper isn't going to be as effective whilst this is happening, and it's going to be easy for him to get all these nice little suppression bursts off without having to worry about penal battalions flanked. What?
Oh, lucky from James. He's made them famous. That is the rifle nade on retreat. He has a YouTube montage of them. He's made them that damn famous. But he was not able to, unfortunately, pull one off for all of us to see. Yes, he was. He pulled another one out of the bag. The rifle nade specialist, Helping Hands, getting a squad wipe of penal battalions there.
Oh, wow. Barton humiliated. Penal battalions eliminated. It is absolutely beautiful play there. And look at, I just love the half-track play because the sniper is just getting completely mitigated in this situation. Gren's there pushing up, trying to get some shots on the Maxim, which is in negative cover. And looking like that's such a strong game from Hans already. Look at the map control.
It's just a strong game. That's the best word for it. Strong. Helping Hands with a very strong showing. He looks like he's almost Luvnest-esque in his ability to just calmly say, Barton, I think I'm a bit better than you think. I'm going to calmly and methodically win. And it seems to be doing just that. We all know Barton is a fantastic player, and it definitely is highly capable of literally just making insane comebacks in games. He's the comeback specialist. He's the comeback king, Barton is.
I actually just want to say to anybody watching, this is what Barton does. Like this is just how Barton starts games. He loves being on the back foot and he loves coming back from it. And nearly every game that we've ever seen him play in tournaments has been some kind of horrendous pushback to pace.
It's crazy.
And he'll be back. He'll be back in this game.
We don't even... We're just trying to cover for what chat may be feeling. As casters, we're like, oh, Barton's back in his base in the 11th minute. Let's wait until an hour's time and see where he is then. Because we've seen so many against Korean Army and G1 in this very tournament, against Cruzy and, of course, against Jesulin in ESL, famously. Barton is the comeback specialist, just as Helping Hands is the rifle nade specialist, as I just touted him to be. So do not count him out, ever.
No, not at all. There's a delicate situation on here. Penal battalions do not want to lose too much health and then have to retreat through the G43s. Barton's trying to get round the south with the sniper, I think with the intention of maybe get some shots off. Hans got a low squad grenadier there, and penal battalions have to retreat nearly through their satchel in order to get back to base. Bad situation there. The sniper takes a shot whilst the grenadiers are focused on the penal battalion. And look, whoop, do we see the rifle nade again? Oh, he's trying it. He's trying it.
There you go. Rifle nade nearly goes in. And nearly gets the wipe there.
Yeah, Barton's actually making a very sensible decision here. He's going to go onto the left-hand side and try and get some capping done up there. And he's not been too successful here, though. He's getting loads of manpower. Let's have a look at the kills on the sniper. 25 kills, 12 minutes into the game, which is very, very big on the manpower drain. And when you just look at the resources that are being stacked up here, we're actually coming up to 8 CP, which means KV1 could be on the field very soon. Hans is not prepared for this. He's getting his tier 3 up at the moment, but we've seen in the last game, you know, KV1 versus Panzer 4. This is Barton just doing what he does.
Ah, the Clement Voroshilov tank. The KV1 heavyweight king, the thing that kept the Soviets in some semblance of resistance in the very early stages of the Second World War, could be doing the very same for Barton. It's almost a microcosm for Blitzkrieg right now, as the Wehrmacht is stomping the Soviets horde in their regard. But the KV-1 tank could be coming to save the day. It is very soon to be unlocked and ready to hit the field.
I think it will, and one of the important things as well, Barton going to take his second VP. That third VP on the right has not been pushed by Hans, so he's not taking advantage of what could be a very good early VP game.
And here it is, the Barton machine. He's been using KV variants to win tournaments for a good part of 4 years now. This thing is a very heavy tank. It can take up a lot of pressure. It's not the best gun, but that does not matter because it's currently up against a half-track only.
Long retreat here for these engineers, just making the retreat in time as the G43s try and pressure him off. Hans needs to get control of the VPs, keep that lead going on. Barton's just going to push with the KV1. He doesn't know if there's tellers here or not. He's had no chance to sweep, but he knows that the safest route is through the hedge. That's the most unlikely place there's going to be one. And he's chasing right back into the base.
Have a look at it. Put the camera in front of the KV as it crushes everything.
Which mode do you want?
Alt fan, just look at this thing as it goes on a crushing rampage.
Poor guy.
Absolutely. Just breaking through hedges. Debris, it doesn't care. It's the KV-1. And it's going to be matched by the Sturmgeschütz, just like we saw in that previous game. I know for a fact, by the way, that of course Barton and HelpingHans have been watching Luvnest Aimstrong series today. It's obvious, everybody's watching GCS in the CO2 community, as we would fully expect. So it's almost as though it's like, is that camouflage, HelpingHans? That is vile. Here's me with historical references, and here's you with...
I have historical skins turned on, and I have some guarantee from Relic that that is a historical skin.
What?
Yep.
It's from Robot Wars.
I actually said the same thing. It is the pump skin of the game, and it's apparently genuinely historical.
These are the same people that, you know, a lot of interesting historical analysis, you know. Sturm Tiger being a frontline unit, etc. Here we go, we've got the Sturmgeschütz with its first shot against the KV-1 doing great damage, and the Faust going in as well. So this KV-1 that we've been touting so heavily could actually be being mitigated almost immediately. It's got a long retreat path back to base. The Sturmgeschütz is on the rampage as it upgrades to the Pintle Match, which isn't going to help too much. It's all about the main cannon. Another great shot, and oh, the Penal Battalion's coming around the rear, Dan.
Yeah, that's right. He's going to try and get the sticky satchel off. He does get it off, and because it's low health already, that's going to mean it dies. Nearly takes out the Pioneers on the retreat as well. So it's a good play there, but I actually think Hans comes out of that engagement better. It now gives him the opportunity to go into the Panzer IV, and there's only a KV-1 really on the horizon for Barton.
Penal Battalion was retreating through smoke, and somehow the Grenadiers got the kill with the G43s, and were able to make it.
Gosh, look at that. He's really, really struggling. Something going on in the center here as well. The half track, which is just very, very close to getting another sticky satchel on. And everything just exploded then into action. Barton is still doing very, very well to hold the 2VPs that he's got at the moment.
Barton's well back into this thing. You've got to consider, although he has just lost a KV-1, he took out a Stug, he lost a Penal Battalion, but he's still got more than enough army for Barton. He's one of those guys that thrives, as we've already mentioned, on having a scant force, and he's doing damn well with it.
He is indeed. Well, we got the second unit that's on the field at the moment. The Panzer IV is now in. That's going to be the unit of choice to try and deal with this. He has to be very, very quick to close this up. MG coming in there is trying to, again, Hans trying to put so much pressure on denying this strategic point in the center. Tactical movement has come in as well. The G43s trying to move up quickly. Maybe they're looking for the sniper. We've got that Vet 3 on there now, so Bart decides to go for the double AT guns and KV build. He's going to have the excellent sight from the Vet 3 again. So looking very, very good for Hans, but I think Barton is he's trying to get that core build that wins him games up.
Ooh, the Zisgun, the ever-important Zisgun that needed to be there right now as the half-track and Panzer IV are dawning upon Barton's army. He's just been decrewed. However, here come the PTRS anti-tank rifles into vision. Veteran 2 Penals doing God's work there for Barton. They've got to, quite frankly, because he's been pushed back into his base.
Dangerous territory there. Hans might take a shot trying to get the sniper through the hedgerow. Penals are going to recrew the AT gun. Now he's going for the sticky satchel with the AT gun, putting some fire down as well. And love that we're still seeing reinforcement from the half track here to make sure that the Grenadiers have pressure. Look at the Maxim as well, very, very close, but suppression saves him.
Oh, does not save the Penal Battalion though. The G43 Grenadiers getting Veteran C3 on both squads as they decrew the Zisgun as well. Barton's putting up a fighting front here as the second Clement Voroshilov tank rears into its ugly head into vision and plinks away at the Panzer IV's army in a very impotent fashion, but still, it does enough to stem the bleed for now.
It does indeed. And what is Hans doing on the VP front right now? I feel like there's so much wasted time trying to push territories, but, you know, the way to kill Barton is to just close the time as early as possible. And, you know, that is definitely something that is being overlooked right now.
He's almost like a disease bot, and unless you you get the cure as quickly as possible and get him off the field, he will continue to grow, and just it's just very difficult to deal with. The Panzer IV has just eaten a shot. It's now going to be out of the picture for now. But Dan, if you just look at HelpingHans' overview of his army at the moment, you'll notice that he's just unleashed very tactical movement from his infantry, giving them speed bonuses to get around the rear armour of the KV, but it does not matter because it's not got a damaged engine. What I was going to say is HelpingHans had a front. He had a front line of his army that is where he best operates. When he broke that, it didn't quite work for him. KV-1 coming into vision. Very cinematic scope shown right now as we get a command copula overview of his army as he destroys one member of that retreating grenadier in the distance. You can see the Panzerwehr with the blowtorches of the pioneers repairing him. So there you go, that's the beauty of Company Heroes 2. It's a 4-year-old game. The new graphics cards you can get on PCs, etc. can really show it to be a fantastic visual experience.
Yep, Hans has just realised that Barton is going very heavy into the KV-1s right now, which means he's going to get that Sturg back up on the field. This time with the penal battalions going down, the ones with the PTRSs had gone down as well, so he doesn't have to worry as much as he had before. He's going to have the Panzer IV in for help when that goes in. So this is, I would say Hans in a very, very good position, but I don't know if he realises how good a position he's in right now, because he could, if he wants to, make some pretty decent dives.
He really could. However, Hans is a tournament winner. He's somebody that gets these tournament wins by being concertedly aggressive when he needs to be. He's not known for his tenacious, balls-to-the-wall Von Ivan-esque aggression. Von Ivan's a player famous for literally just doing dives and committing to it, and he comes across as quite wild at times. HelpingHans is anything but wild. He's slow and steady, wins the race.
I just want to show there the sniper sight, by the way, with the Veteran C3. Huge sight range. Those Grens cannot flank snipers like I think he was intending to. And look at this casual. He's a casual retreat back to the reinforcement half-track, creating a new forward point on the map where he can play, rather than having to waste that unit's time retreating back to the base. There is no refuge for these men. They're not allowed the comfort of the home territory.
As Stormless so accurately portrayed, veterancy matters a hell of a lot in Company Heroes. It's about building your company of heroes up and attaining the vital veterancy. Soviet Scout sniper team at Veterancy 3 is very good, but the bigger picture right now is a possible armoured confrontation looming as the Sturmgeschütz rattles the KV-1 from internally. The sniper was thwarted from having a flank from the Grenadier there. Sniper's still on the battlefield. The Grenadier's got a difficult retreat path. It does manage to survive.
Yeah, he makes that all right. The Maxim turned round for whatever reason, and well, gets suppressed itself by the MG42. And Hans just really putting good pressure, finally getting the VPs. Finally. That's so much time wasted on VPs. Really lost 100 of his own in the time that he could have been applying the pressure on that one. But if he does get that triple cap now, it'll be very, very helpful to him in stopping Barton from climbing up in the late game. And time is everything against Barton. It really is. If this game does start to go the other side, this is a huge factor to why.
Time is the fourth resource, they've always said in Company of Heroes 2. But the most important resource Barton ever cares about is victory points. He doesn't care. As long as he wins the match, he'll keep hold of victory points and slowly wear down his opponent through attrition. Sometimes he isn't quite on it as you'd expect a Company Heroes 2 elite tournament level player to be with regards to preservation. But yeah, it's Barton, and Barton can into space and possibly be into the semi-finals if he wins this series.
Barton can into semi-finals. I think that should be his lead-in for this one.
It's a meme. It's because of
I know the meme.
You've got it.
Don't you worry. I know the meme.
Ooh, rear hit into the Panzerwehr there. It's going to have to retreat back to base. The Zisgun's done very well for Barton, although he has no veterancy because he's had to recrew it a few times.
About 50 kills on that sniper at the moment. I think people realise how important this unit is as part of Barton's composition, because you see the way that the AT gun can look at the range it's got.
It's crazy.
Safe unit
so the actual veterancy bonuses are for Vet 2 it's minus 20% weapon cooldown, minus 20% reload, but then the one we've been talking about plus 20% sight range. That sight range is quite frankly massive now, and it allows Barton a bird's eye view of his opponent's movements into that vital central god there. Look at Barton's strategic play and tactical nuances. He's seen HelpingHans make dives through that avenue, and he's got a guaranteed wipe there because they'll clump up when they try and get it, but it might not matter if they succeed in getting rid of the sniper. Oh, he's putting a mine on there as well, so it's almost a guaranteed wipe. But what's he doing? He's staying there for too long. The KV-1's got its turret fixed the wrong way. The Panzerwehr's coming into vision. He's found that juicy rear armor of the KV-1. The Zisgun is firing though. It's now going to vanquish the Panzerwehr. The KV-1 will be able to retreat. And here comes the Flame half-track, newly upgraded and equipped.
Half-Track going to be doing some good work against the AT gun there, but where is the Stug in all of this? Finally comes in, Faust is off from the Grenadiers, and this is the chance for that Stug to finish off that KV-1. It's going to be able to get a couple of penetration shots. Panzer IV penetrates as well, so we could be seeing it go down now. Another blow to Barton, left with only Penal Battalion and Sniper as his pushing infantry. What a great push by Hans. What an amazing push.
What an advantageous push there. He was like a coiled cobra waiting to strike. And Barton was like a child collecting water from the local river. And he just looked helpless, absolutely helpless to HelpingHans' onslaught there. Tried to put a H in front of onslaught. Can't quite get that. The alliteration wasn't quite there. Regardless, HelpingHans literally uncoiled and struck. And Barton was too busy. Oh, I'll put a mine on top of my demo charge. I'll put my sandcastle here, and I'll do a painting on this wall. HelpingHans was like, the full force of the Wehrmacht. There's no stopping me. And Barton's army is 4 units strong now.
I mean, he is playing Lightning War, which is, of course, the Blitzkrieg, and I don't think you could see a better example of it than what Hans just did. He's perfectly utilized that. He's been using tactical movement. He's been running in hard, going in with vehicles that cause catastrophic damage, basically forcing Barton to make huge micro plays to kind of win and overcome. But he's gone for another Maxim. He's going to try and pick up the second one here, and he's still believing he's going to be in this game.
Yeah, it's like, oh, we found Barton on the back foot yet again, 25 minutes in. Let's wait for Barton to rebuild his army. HelpingHans, he's doing a great thing. He's got victory point control of 2 victory points at the moment. He really needs to push for that 3rd victory point, though, in my opinion. You cannot allow Company Heroes 2's comeback mechanics, i.e. when you lose your units, you get more manpower per minute because your upkeep goes down. You cannot allow Barton to get back into things. You need to finish him off. Von Ivan wouldn't be standing around right now. I could imagine Von Ivan in base, Kappa Klosh, just doing all the damage. But here we go, Dan. 54 tons of Krupp styles entered the field. This thing is a beast. It looks like Queen Bee, quite frankly, at the moment, in that hideous makeup. But it is a killing machine. It is on the field. The most feared and revered tank in military history is here. The Panzerkampfwagen 6 Tiger.
Yep, it's a weird one. It is actual tiger armor. It's a tiger camouflage as well. So yeah, it's very appropriate. Very appropriate.
Very appropriate indeed. The flame half-track that allowed HelpingHans to make that great push by decrewing the Zisgun did just get a shot from that same Zisgun. You will also see that Barton's building a second one, which is going to be a nasty surprise for the future of HelpingHans' flanks. But now he's got a Panzer IV on the attack map you'll see coming down the western side there. This could be HelpingHans getting ready to finish things off.
I don't know, because of course we do still have the demo.
Oh, the demo mine! Oh, he saw it, of course. He saw it, of course. Barton laid it, and it was just so obvious. And HelpingHans has now hearkened possibly the end of Barton in this game. The full cavalcade is coming into full force. The Zisguns are trying to open up, but they've got too many targets. We do see a sticky satchel go in against that Sturmgus. Shirts. We've got the Tiger coming into vision. What else have we got down?
It's the 1 Panzer IV trying to get round the back of the AT gun. Tiger's going to take some shots on it from the front. Should be able to clear it. Once this AT gun goes down, there is a second one on the field at the moment trying to deliver shots. But it is not going to be enough. Hans is just happy to go into that engagement, wipe the unit, and then leave. But he's not going to leave without destroying that AT gun, forcing Barton to spend more manpower to get the counters on the field.
Great push by HelpingHans. He's being methodical here. He's going in, he's diving in, he's getting a good win. It is stemming the bleed. Barton is still in the game. But it is HelpingHans being utterly meticulous.
Yeah, it has, and Barton just hasn't been allowed to get up to his, his optimal build, that build where he plays so well. And look at this, we've got a tactical movement running in again. This should be able to deal with the sniper. First model goes down. G43 is opening up to the second one. Tons of XP flying through the air right now as both models go down. And the G43s will aptly clear up the second AT gun. Barton throws in the towel. Game 1 to HelpingHans. What a game.
What a game. Barton with the sterling defense, but HelpingHans with the superior offense.
It was a great showing by him. Full stop. Right, let's update that scoreboard.
28 minutes 51 for your record books. The battle planner will be upgraded as we go right now. Great innovation by Kavazar. The ability to keep all the VPs public and everybody can see what's going on. Barton showing just how good of a player he is, but HelpingHans showing everybody why he thinks he's a better player. The number 3 seed against the number 6 seed there.
So we've got to point out as well, like it still was an even game. Oh, sorry, go to this screen. It still was an even game because, you know, the KDs were good. The both players, they did have good control. It comes down to the pushes. And, you know, like I feel like Barton can't push without optimum build. But Hans can push with what is the best thing he has at that time. Do you know what I mean? He can just pick, oh, this is it. Like, this is a good moment and go for it. I don't really feel like Barton was doing that.
You think Barton was waiting for critical mass before he pushed? I can kind of see what you're saying. There is a possibility there. He just does possibly need those heavy tanks and the Zisguns all in combination to really make it work. But I think HelpingHans was never in a position where he was pushing with a scant army because, quite frankly, he didn't lose much, really. You know, he lost that early Panzerfear, I believe, or was it Stug to the KV-1 tank, but in general, I think HelpingHans played so well there that he just had critical mass pretty much all the time. He was always in a position to really punish Barton for his mistakes. And the biggest mistake was not being prepared for HelpingHans to strike. He was laying that demo trap mine configuration like some mad, crazy scientist. And HelpingHans just walked into the laboratory and was like, "What are you doing, mate? I've got like several thousand tigers and stuff here. I'm just going to steamroll you, if that's all right."
Well, guys, you can see how things stand at the moment here. HelpingHans confidently through game 1 with 402 VPs playing as the austere. Next game, Hans has chosen the Brits, which I think we expected he would. Barton is still choosing his faction at the moment, going through his options. Whilst all that is going on, we will, of course, announce the winner of the raffle, because you guys were doing the raffle before. So that is going to be... What are we giving away here? We're giving away a Company of Heroes 2 Commander code. And that is going to be for Lazis Neglectus.
Well pronounced.
Thank you. Announcement is the winner in chat. You get your message on Twitch after this stream. And we will draw another one.
For Ashes of the Singularity.
Yeah, let's do Ashes of the Singularity for this one. That's going to be for...
He won yesterday.
He won yesterday.
Isn't he a subscriber? Did they get an increase?
No,
chance?
there's no increase.
There's none of that.
At
Okay.
all. No, that is
You
pure.
lucky,
That is pure
lucky
random.
Player.
You should be playing Company of Heroes today because RNG is on your side.
It really is. Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, don't watch the stream, but you know.
There's loads of noobs, though, isn't there, from the thing, you know, and all the best players are watching the stream right now because this is where the best content is.
Tenchi's in game.
God! If he is, he's not getting any kind of.
No.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
It's good.
He's a good lad. Fair enough. He's a good guy.
I had that feeling.
He told us to be watching. Regardless, let's get on with G2. I think the players are going to be eager to keep playing. And Barton's going to be eager to probably was it Wehrmacht he's chosen or OKW most likely?
Nope, not at all.
Wehrmacht.
I was actually waiting for his choice in the battle planner.
Okay.
I think he's actually made that already by the looks of it. So I'm just going to do the quick checks. It is.
I can't believe we're checking Barton, the person that likes to impersonate other people to trick casters. We're checking him to see if.
I love that. It's a comment that's waiting for me every time I go to check Barton. I get this message that's on there from Paula. Stormless acting like internet policeman. It's because I
showed
have to
an ACSI phallus on stream.
I didn't see.
No, if we don't get like if the you know. Basically, we're in talks with a possible esports company to be in a really cool, massive venue for the GCS finals. Could happen, most likely will happen, but there's a small chance it won't happen. And it's reasons such as that, well, we were going to let you come to esports Nirvana and cast with all your fans in a really cool place, but there was that ACSI phallus on screen that time.
Yeah.
And we've got a picture of it here.
It's just lines and characters. Grow up.
Just pixels, and it was just, you know.
Yep, the trap was laid. It was a trap. It was a trap. And,
so even now, Barton is still trolling us somehow through his own Steam profile.
He will always win that battle. He will always win.
He is the king of trolls, unfortunately.
That is right. Right. Let's get the scores sorted out for this next game. Allow me to do my little admin.
Absolutely. So whilst the mad scientist, look at him in the bottom left corner or the top left corner of your screen. Look at his concentration on his face. Look at him whirring away, tapping, 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 pressing all the things. It's very, very stressful. If anything goes wrong here, if a score is out of place, if the players' names are wrong, you will brutalise him for it in chat. Did it work?
Mm.
He's now having had water mop the sweat off his brow. But we've got one.
There's a lot of pressure.
There is.
There's a lot of pressure. I got multiple
He's
keyboards
got literally.
here. I got all this.
Hang on a second. Hang on a
stuff
second.
around.
Look at this. He's got 2 PCs, like hotkeys on each one, and he's like some kind of crazy person. Whereas I am just sitting here drinking beer or coffee, depending on what time of day it is, just having a great time.
Yeah.
It's great. Loving it.
How good for you. But yes, we are about to go into game 2 of this series. We've got 40 seconds to go before that happens. Predictions for this series. Barton's going to be playing as the austere. Will he open up with the sniper? Is he going to be prepared to? Because he doesn't want to be 2-0 down. He will not want to be 2-0 down in this. The first game, again, we always say it. A first game is a bit like, you just want to throw something out there. Just like take something a risk. I actually felt like they both played seriously there. But Barton's going to...
I would never be haphazard in my first game of a quarterfinal of GCS. I genuinely... I see what you're saying, but I do slightly disagree with you there. And I think Barton is going to be really gunning for it now. He's warmed up, importantly. He's going to be probably going for the infantry company, etc. But let's get into this thing.
All right, let's do it. Game 2. Hello everybody and welcome to game 2 of this series between HelpingHans and Barton. We have on the south side of Crossroads playing as his #1 faction, the Brits, and his nationality faction. It's going to be HelpingHans.
And then in the north you've got his malevolent nemesis, Barton Pial, who's just had a bit of a scrape with Hans in that first game and now finds himself 1-0 down. Barton is as the Wehrmacht or the Austere. Whatever you call them, it's going to be Barton with the sniper first from the Infantry company. He's a sniper master. He's going to be sniping these poor Tommies that don't know what's going to be coming.
They don't know, and Barton has instantly picked the Ostroupen here. Ostroupen are going to be able to come out on the field relatively at the same time as the sniper, and I really like that he's gone for that sniper first. I really like that he has decided to build the tier 1, bring that out. He's going to have access to Fausts now, remember, as well, because he's built that tier. So going to be trouble if Hans decides for any reason to build a universal carrier early game. But Ostroupen really account for a lot here because they're so cheap to reinforce. So whilst the Tommies are a little bit more expensive and the sniper's picking away, they're not going to be doing that much damage to Barton's manpower. So I think this is a very nice commander choice from the early game. I
really do think so. Barton with the Ostroupen choice, he's going to be able to do a lot of capping, try and take advantage of the small window of opportunity against Brits where they don't have quite as many infantry on the field. Sniper with its first shot goes prone yet again. Well, that's scoped. Mauser Car 98 rifle takes another scalp from that Tommy squad as the Ostroupen come into vision. However, the sniper itself has now suffered 2 shots from those Lee Enfield rifles, possibly another one, and is forced to retreat. So big win there for HelpingHans getting the sniper off the field, but he did lose 2 models in the process.
That's a weird decision by Barton because, as we know, with the stealth changes that came out recently, if you're caught out of stealth, but when you take a shot, you won't cloak again for, it's like 10 seconds or something before you can cloak again. So actually to run into cover was not going to help at all because the Tommies were still able to track and target it. It's a very risky one there. Look at the amount of health that is left on that unit.
It's going to force him to either attain Veterancy 1 on one of the squads and get the health packs down, or of course go for the med bunker, 150 munitions, 150 manpower, 60 munitions in order to heal that sniper. Or it's Barton. He's probably going to keep it on the field behind a meat shield of Ostroupen, which is very dangerous to do. And in fact, he is doing that. You can already see it on your screen, that sight line, that radius that's currently moving and enveloping the centre of the map. That is the sniper, which is pretty much, got his arm missing. He's hobbling on one foot with the amount of health he has, and he's ready to fire yet again.
Yeah, it's a really difficult situation for him because, of course, he can't push really with the Tommies. Yeah, he has to kind of get into a cover position, so snipers are a really good counter. Hans is going to have to wait for his own sniper. I think it's going to be all down to the counter snipe. He's got the tier ready now. Engineers have just come out. Oh, where are they? Engineers have just come out of that tier, and hopefully soon we're going to get to see the sniper engagements between Brit and Austere, which was very interesting.
They are, and HelpingHans has just seen how aggressive Barton is being with that sniper opening up against his Tommies. In his own territory, the sniper went prone there and fired. Here we go, Ostroupen gallantly fighting against 7 well-trained professional British infantrymen here. These Ostroupen, of course, are largely either volunteers or conscripted from Eastern Europe to fight for the Wehrmacht in the Second World War. So a little bit of history there, and they are not as well trained, but there are 6 of them rather than the usual 4 you get for a Wehrmacht infantry troop in this game.
Barton there still taking headshots with the Austere sniper, and Hans is just forced to run up the field, constantly trying to push it away. Hans going to go with a second squad of engineers, hasn't decided to reach out for that sniper yet, and I actually think if he has too much on the field, maybe it's going to be difficult for him to save up. But one thing the engineers will be very good at is actually just running up to the area where the Ostroupen are and gunning them out of green cover positions. They're going to be very, very good at that.
I think the sniper did very well there. It marauded around the centre of the battlefield, got 3 shots off against Tommies, and it was just so dangerous from Barton, but he needs to do that in order to be competitive. He also has gotten the cut-off with the Ostroupen having superior capping potential in the very early game. But to be honest, he doesn't even have that much relative to HelpingHans. HelpingHans is a very heavy Brit infantry game here, which can actually be very expensive. As you just see the blood spurt out of one of those Tommies. Very expensive to replace. The Ostroupen of superior rate of fire thanks to the cover. Could be gunning them down, but won't get the shot off.
Hand is having to pull off the left side. Also, he's having to respond to Ostroupen push the field and decap the strategic point, connecting him to his resources on the right-hand side. It looks like he's making a good job of this, and of course, Barton's sniper well off of the field at the moment, so he might be able to flush these out quickly. There's a 3rd squad of engineers coming in. And this, do you know, I'm wondering where this is going. We remember back, the tournaments ago, actually might be Warpaint Championship. When these get veterancy, they actually drop down. I think it's 16 manpower reinforcement cost. So maybe this is like something that's going to come up against the sniper and kind of do what the Ostroupen are doing, just providing very low reinforcement as it comes in.
It's just one of those things as well. You never really. There's a phrase: never go 5-man squads. That was about a famous Goliath in Company Heroes history that blew up about 4 Tommy squads. And obviously killed 20 models rather than 16. So it's one of those situations. You do have better ability to stay on the battlefield with your 1 extra man per squad. You have a little bit more survivability. But when you've got a sniper, a Barton sniper especially, so it's going to be a very well played sniper. He's the most frequent sniper user in Company Heroes history. You could be opening up opportunities to fall into a manpower sink and to lose a significant amount of attrition throughout the battle.
Yeah, we'll see what the plan is here. I think we have to really watch Hans's commander choice as well. I think that's going to make all the difference. Lovely little use of the engineers here going to decap fuel. It's going to put some extra pressure on Barton at the moment whilst he's... we have to look at his teching as well when we get a second. But here's the flank from the sappers. They're trying to get around the back of the MG42. They're trying to push that off, and they're going to open up close range and start dealing that manpower damage.
With those very cheap Sten guns, they've done great work against this MG42. It's now suffering hideously, allowing the 4-man sappers to take it and steal the MG42, which is a great steal. And Barton's already rebuilding a second one, or that was probably already being built rather, and it's just as well because he's lost the first one.
You know what? That's really unfortunate because he was actually moving that back. It looked like it stopped and it decided to set up, allowing the sappers to get the kill. So really, really unfortunate. We've got what looks like the bunker, and let's say it's a reinforcement bunker, trying to be a base for the Ostrupen to constantly reinforce against the Brits. But now with that MG on the field, that is going to be so difficult.
It really is. He's got this headquarters bunker in the centre of the map. It's a very innovative strategy from Barton. He was clearly setting up for an area of operations in order to really put the cost down on Hans, but it could be a waste of 150 munitions, and he just lost an Ostrupen as well, so there's another 200 down the pan. It's not gone too well for him with that particular cheeky play.
It really hasn't. We've got the boys' anti-tank rifles coming on for Hans. He has, of course, chosen special, what is it called? A special weapons regiment. That was actually the one on my head. But he has gone for that just in case Barton does bring something out of the tier 2. Very good unit for doing that, and he will get some anti-tank grenades for the later stages of the game. Also, just to note, this will be the unit that can help deal with the bunker in the center. If you can pop it into the house or maybe even just take shots, he'll be able to deal with that very, very quickly and efficiently. So double fuel may be incoming for Hans after this strategic cap, and once again, you know, we just see no AEC anymore. We're just probably going to see that straight move up into Cromwell.
Here we go, the boys' anti-tank rifle going to be doing its best work to try and get rid of the bunker, but here come the Ostrupen and the MG42 and the MP40s of the Pioneers firing through one window against this anti-tank rifle. What's the health looking like on the bunker there, Dan?
Well, we are taking shots, but we're getting down just about half health. We've got a flank here, but the engineers are going to go for the strategic decap rather than pressuring the MG that is on the center, knowing that it can actually reinforce them in the command bunker. Hans has made a good decision there not to try and attack it, because Barton will just be able to hold that line. I still feel like Barton is recovering this relatively well. The Ostrupen are doing a really good job of just being cheap and dealing the damage.
God, yeah. I just think this game is so well equipped for catastrophe and destruction right now. Barton is making a real show of himself. He's operating with scant resources because he's lost a little bit more than Hans in this game. But Hans is not looking dominant at the moment at all. He's stolen that MG, yes, but Barton's now building a mortar, which would be an ideal counter to it. And so yeah, this bunker's done a little bit of work. Not exactly 150 manpower worth though, Dan.
No, I think if he wasn't pushed off the centre in the way he had been, this would have been amazing because, you know, the Ostrupen do perform very well against Brits. You know, they are one of the go-to commanders for this. And, you know, it's really, I think when the Cromwell comes out, all of that changes. Barton may be losing his little window of opportunity. Forced to retreat the MG42 now. But he'll run through some of the Tommies, and it looks like that might go down in the negative cover. Oh, and Sen goes for the sniper with the mortar shot. Takes so many models down.
Could have even been a super wipe, that could have been if the Ostrupen were in position, or indeed the MG42 wasn't the thing that had just been wiped, because that was a great wombo combo, to borrow a phrase from another game. And indeed, the bunker's still standing.
Still standing.
The Elton John of bunkers. It took down a second. There you go.
I heard that one. HelpingHans has just brought on the M5 half-track for the Brits. He will be able to drop himself Piats for the Sappers and well, any unit he wants really, but also Vickers for the Tommies if he decides to go down that route. Either would be pretty good right now. I think he's going to go for the Vickers to try and just keep whittling down the manpower that Barton's putting into reinforcing these Ostrupen. Finally, the structure in the center goes down, so Barton no longer has that fail-safe to reinforce by.
It's only 11 minutes into this game. I know. It feels like it's been... Imagine if this is the one that goes an hour. It's going to be like the all-time epic of Code 2's history. And for those that don't know, we've got 1,200 viewers plus right now, and there may be people that don't know what they're watching. This is Code 2 competitive. It's an amazing thing to watch. It's got such growth potential. But what you're watching right now is two guys with an illustrious and horrific rivalry. Barton and HelpingHans do not like one another, and these games between these two guys have the potential to go for a very long time and tell an amazing story. What a knife fight there.
Look at this guy going for it with the Vickers.
Just like, you know, just putting another bullet in the chamber there, cocking the bolt and firing a foot away from my opponent's face.
MLG noise scope. I think that guy is just going in hard for that one.
Mom, get the camera.
Yeah, precisely. I mean, he's got a good position here because he's, you know, built some sandbags earlier on in the game. Barton hasn't wired those off, so he's still going to be able to get those. But the Mortar's doing so well at just bringing these squads down. There's a lot of health damage there from the Mortar, but if Hans decides to stay there, which he doesn't, you know, that could go badly for him. He's just used the health kit, so he's not going to be able to benefit from that. just yet.
We'll check out the kills on the Sniper and the Mortar of Barton, please. So Sniper with 17, not bad. Mortar, though, 4, but a lot of health damage. Veterancy 2 already. And if you didn't know about, of course, Wehrmacht Mortars, they are damn good at what they do. A Wehrmacht Mortar at Vet 2 gets minus 20% scatter, but minus 40% barrage recharge, so it starts to constantly fire. And then at Vet 3, of course, it gets a plus a third range, so it really does become a beast.
It is a very, very good veterancy on that unit. Barton has gone again for this bunker with the reinforcement, and this bunker is essential to his Ostroupen strategy because he doesn't want to be retreating these back to the base. It's made all the more difficult now by the Vickers, which I believe are putting suppression on, unless we saw the... Oh no, it was the MG getting suppression there. Yeah, it's absolutely essential. Hans has got to be aggressive. He's got to get in there and start making these things retreat back to base so he can get the boys' anti-tank rifles working on the bunker.
Another one put down by Barton. That's what I'm saying. Barton knows this game in ways that other people do not know this game. He's got a very individualistic approach, and he plays in ways that you do not expect.
I'm interested to see Hans' teching. There's 250 fuel at the moment, and has not made really a significant sign of teching so far. He's really got to focus on the
He's got to focus as hard as he can right now because this is such an important situation. I mean, again, we find ourselves Barton with a very small area of contention. He's not in the best situation again, but it is Barton once more, and he's at least in this game he's not lost as much as he did in that previous game. He's getting the Sturmgeschütz out. He's going to find himself in a very good situation.
It's a good unit for him to get there. I wonder if he's going to bank on the Cromwell being in there, or whether he's going to expect Hans maybe to go straight into the Crocodile. Definitely something he could do, given that he's already on 8 CPs at the moment. And the fuel is there. We haven't seen any signs of that tech coming in so far, but look at this push from Hans. Tommy's going straight up on the middle there. It's giving the Void anti-tank rifles good time to get shots in on the bunker, and he's just ever pushing that strategic point, but because of tier 1, it's just able to reinforce constantly.
It's almost like a bunker in its own right. It's got well, he did have a network of bunkers, almost as though he was in Afghanistan or Vietnam or something. But regardless, here we go with the Sturmgeschütz. It is on the field. It has one natural enemy. It wasn't that carcass of a previous thing on the field. It's of course the half track, but it's going to be what HelpingHans will be going for next. He's expecting the Cromwell very shortly.
It's one of these, like, he has invested into Payats now. Those are being dropped at the moment. There's some that are being picked up by sappers as well. And you know, the Stug is out really to counter what? I actually think that's a misplay of Barton. I don't know what he's expecting to counter. I think, you know, it may be better than the Panzer IV, because whatever tank Hans does bring out, that's going to be the counter to that. But for now, it just doesn't seem to be something that's going to be effective. It's probably a preemptive to potential armor.
Could well be. It could well be. I mean, the Cromwell, as I say, is something that HelpingHans is so famous for. But this is another thing he's made famous. It's the fuel saving you get by bringing on this half track and from the special weapons and getting the Piats and the Brens out on the field. It'll allow him to have better sustainability and survivability in the late game. And already look at the top left of your screen there. You see all those Royal Engineers and Tommies are all upgraded already, which will mean that HelpingHans' potential in the mid to late game is heavily increased.
Yep, interested to see what he's going to do here. What a dominant position to be in at the moment. Barton's still got plenty of times to make things work. We need to have a look at what teching he's gone for. He's going to stay on Battle Phase 2 by the looks of it at the moment. Hasn't got any call-ins from the late game, so he has to really be confident in what he's doing. It should work here. But I think Hans is going to have such a great infantry force. He's just going to be able to like roll through these Ostroupen. He's going to be able to put huge pressure. Look at these homing in on the Stug there. Half damage down.
Oh my god!
Not overstep the mark with that.
Projectile infantry anti-tank doing its best there. Spring-loaded, shape-charged warhead. Nearly destroyed a Sturmgeschütz in one salvo.
Oh gosh, this is a tough one for Barton. He really doesn't want to lose this game. And you've got to wonder, really, because Ostrupen is one of these... it's very good at the start. I think if you don't get that start game against the Brits, you put yourself in a bad position, because you just... What are you going to do to counter the late game? You know, your manpower has been constantly spent on reinforcing. Even though it's cheap, it does stack up eventually. So it's a really difficult one here. Oh, the squad there. I think that's under fire from the sniper. Hasn't noticed it. Barton's not using incendiaries.
There you go.
The squad waves.
There you go. So that's the sniper, the MVP unit for Barton in this game. It's not been counted as heavily as it was in the previous game as Soviets. Of course, the Wehrmacht sniper is a bit of a glass cannon in many senses because it only requires one big shot in order to die. There's not two members of the unit. It's just one guy on his own. As the Bren's doing great work against the MG42 there.
Hans has got to keep on the move because, of course, the Mortar is firing. This time, there's no Ostrupen in the middle to defend on the strategic point. Hans can pretty much camp in there. Going to take the MG, so Ostrupen really going to struggle in this situation. Mortar support not available as it's retreating back into the base. And this is exactly what Barton did not want to happen. Can we get a triple cap in to really put the pressure on?
And put the pressure on indeed. HelpingHans has only lost 25 victory points in this game. He's now getting Barton to 170 lost, which is significant. You'll notice Barton is getting another mortar, which is actually a really good choice if you look at the north side of his base. The big hedgerow you can put these mortars behind. But Dan's just noticed something a lot more important.
Yeah, I think this is the unit that is going to start really harassing the Ostrupen, because the sappers can just walk up, keep pushing this this Stug away, and the Cromwell's just going to be able to, you know, like wipe squads perhaps, or just take down multiple models of the Ostrupen. It's just that extra little bit of pressure. I don't know whether I mean, he could have gone straight up to the Comet, but I actually think he is going to go for Crocodile. I think he timed his resources well to do that.
Maybe. And we just saw the Cromwell put a great shot in at the sharpshooter of the Wehrmacht. The sniper nearly fell. He's now down to 40% health, but the mortars are really starting to fire. One of them Veteran C3 with increased range, increased rate of fire. The other is the Apprentice mortar that's going to be trying to join its bigger brother.
I love that Hans has this kind of forward base here. So they retreat, they move up to the middle, and then the front line moves up beyond that. So they do all their healing here. It's a really nice system that he's got going on there. Not sure that's a good position for the MG to be, though, with two mortars looming around. That's going to go down pretty badly if Barton, which he is, decides to target that unit there.
Good suppression from Barton's MG, though. And just as we say that Caster's Curse, every single mortar's... Oh, there we go. One died of old age, I think. Of a heart attack. And he's been able to move easily. I wish Aimstrong had the same... I bet Aimstrong wishes he had the same look earlier when he had that squad wide. Ooh, what's this?
Concentrated fire option has just been called in.
Let's stick on it, Dan, with the camera. Let's see where that first shot lands. He's been able to dodge it just about, but look at the dirt that flies up due to that heavy 105mm shell there.
Yep, and that is not going to be the only one of those. I think 7 shells are about to rain down in this area, meaning that Hans is going to be able to push up the left side very easily. It's going to be difficult for Barton to even reinforce on the left. Once things get pushed off, he's not going to be able to stick around for too long. So this is a nice little play by Hans here to drop that 250 munition ability down. And there's the sniper. Sniper's out of position.
Bren's assassinated the sniper. The sniper that's claimed so many scalps of his own is no longer a fixture, and the Stug's now under fire from this Cromwell. It's marauding into scope. It's trying to find that rear armor. There's only a Faust from the Austrian about to hit it, but it is going to find the rear armor of the Sturmgeschütz and put heavy fire upon it. Sturmgeschütz shows its frontal armor, however. Good move from Barton. Will it be enough? Needs to get a big fire in against the Cromwell in order to make this happen. One shot required now. The Cromwell makes it happen. However, a new Sturmgeschütz hits the battlefield.
That is right, it does, but it could not get out of the base easily enough. He's going to try and chase it now, and he should be able to get the shot on a very weak Cromwell that's trying to go round the left side of the map. And now we have the Ostrupen back into the center. They're trying to hold the strategic point as best they can, but they're just not able to provide anything significant right now. Cromwell goes down. He's abandoned, but finished off by the Stug. Perfect counters, really, but just came out a little bit too late.
An exact trade. It's an exact trade. It's a Cromwell for Stug there. HelpingHans put a lot into that push. Barton didn't lose too much. He just lost the original Stug and got rid of the Cromwell eventually. He has however lost his cut-off, which means he doesn't currently have much more munitions than one strategic point to the east of his base. So he's got a lot of work to do to reattain that.
does indeed. Half-track is up on the field right now. We have a counter, though, from Barton, who drops railway artillery. He's going to be dropping that to try and get Hans to move his M5 half-track off of the map. And now the sappers, this is dangerous because, of course, if he goes this direction and decides to pull the retreat, then he may end up falling into the railway artillery, which would be horrendous for him.
Yeah, he knows he's got to stay in that position right now because the retreat path, the algorithm would take him straight past the scope, possibly, of those big shells that are raining fire from a railway nearby. Ooh. Oh! Exactly what we thought might happen did happen! HelpingHans got devastated by Carl Gustav there. Jesus Christ, we thought it could happen, and it did. Two squads.
Oh my god, I had a feeling that was going to happen. That was kind of the way that goes. And, why didn't he see that? Why didn't he even move up there?
Because we're just watching, casting, and drinking a beer. He's there trying to frenetically play. He probably thought just after he pressed T or R, whichever his hotkey is, and then thought, oh crap, hang on.
Oh no, I wonder if that's going to hurt him. 214 VPs remain for Barton. I wonder if he's thinking, yeah, okay, this is the moment. This is
Barton
the moment.
zone, here we go.
This is Barton zone indeed. We need to figure out what Hans is doing tech-wise though, because really, he hasn't put that much on the field. Let's just have a look at what he's doing at the moment. He hasn't chosen hammer or anvil tactics, so we're not going to see the comet come out. I really think he's going for the Crocodile, but against the Stug, if he gets another Stug out, which we saw Barton do before, then, the Crocodile may suffer.
Just so people in chat know, Carl is just how I say schwer. But anyway, regardless, here we go. We've got a lot of action going on. It's really now Barton's time to shine. He's got to push out, reclaim his territories. He's just destroyed 2 upgraded Tommies. They're not going to be a problem for now. If he can push out and get past this Vickers and get his newly rebuilt sniper plinking away for him, he can really begin to solidify his hold, or lack of hold at the moment on the mid game.
Yes, indeed. Barton realizing the situation is in on triple cap at the moment, rightly sending Ostrupen down to the right side of the map to cap the VP, and he's got to stem that drain. He's really got to stop that, because this happened in the last game. We're down to 160 there. Did another squad of hands just go down there? I think no. I'm not sure if I heard something there go down.
May have done. There's a lot of things happening right now. They've got one of the mortars has just hit. You've got another MG in the build as well. 3 MGs now for Barton. That's a lot of suppressive fire. He's got 3 MGs, 2 mortars, the sniper, 3 Ostrupen. He's clearly going to be trying to choke Hans out of this game. He's going to rely upon Hans to rebuild his infantry army and to keep trying to get these upgrades, which is a possibility, but it's also a gamble. It's 260 manpower per go for these MGs. And what if Hans doesn't want to keep rebuilding this infantry? What if he goes full on with the 490 fuel count he has on an armor-based confrontation? As the half-track goes in with the Bren upgrade, he's going for these MGs that are rebuilt, but here comes the Panzerfaust to ward him away.
I really like this because he's actually negating the MG's ability to suppress whilst he's in the vehicle. He's also removing the chances of him getting squad wiped by those mortars. Here's the Crocodile though. This is the unit that we wanted to see. It's got a bit of a chance whilst there's only 1 Stug on the field. But where's he used the flares, I wonder?
Oh my god, there you go as well. But I have to think that Hans here literally has the ideal composition to cope with what Barton has. It's almost as though Hans is rock and Barton has a pair of child's scissors here with the plastic handles with no sharpness to them. It's going to be brutal. He's got the M3 with the Garrison Vet 3 Brend up Tommies. He's now got a Crocodile, a unit that the Wehrmacht officers literally wrote to the British asking them to politely not use anymore. It was that terrifying in combat. And it was that horrific, Dan, that the British tankers stopped using flames. They started doing a wet spray of just the napalm without the ignition, just to scare the grenadiers out of bunkers and say, yeah, we could set you on fire if we wanted to, but we're not that inhumane. He now has something so inhumane, and he has the artillery to back it up.
Something even more humane, even more terrifying, raining down from the sky to aid the call of the Crocodile, which is coming in. Did we see a squad? It just escaped that, the MG. But Hans has just got to sit on these 2 VPs now. I think last time he pushed, that's where we saw the mistakes. He's going to try and lock down with the MG. He'll have good vision on the Stug. But really, it just comes down to, can he just hold the 2 VPs? That's all he has to do on his timeline at the moment.
Down to 2 VPs. It's down to a very difficult situation for Barton. Yet again, he's battled hard. He's, however, been a little bit out-teched here, and it is a bad decision of his to not counter the obvious signs that are Helping Hands, and the commander Helping Hands most famously uses as Brits in recent auto-match play. It's obvious the Croc is coming, and he decided to build another MG around the time you could expect it to hit the field. A little bit of misplay from him, but he does have another Sturmgeschütz in the build.
Yeah, we are just going to look at the tactical map at the moment. It's looking pretty strong for Hans, although Barton, he's still got things to play with, but trying to counter this is the real problem. This Crocodile, which is just kind of hanging behind the building at the moment, can even just ground attack through to get any of the Ostroup, and then they will burn quickly.
It's perfectly positioned to just that jet of molten napalm just spring out of that building and crush anything that's in its midst. And there's Helping Hands doing a famous RTS tactic of literally wrecking his opponent's base.
I actually think it looked like a telemine was going down there, and I think Hans, by the trail of dead bodies there, may have just swept in and got the Pioneers that were
Oh, you're
retreating from it.
kidding me.
I'm pretty sure he just went in with
Oh,
the
he's
half
rebuilding
track.
the Pioneer. Shame
Yeah.
things like this happen off camera sometimes in a Cobra game, but sometimes they leave a trail, like for us the detectives, to work out exactly what happened. And I think you're bang on there. What's Hans got on the build there? Is that a Cromwell? Second Cromwell?
Yeah, this is going to be the Cromwell. I haven't seen him tech up to Hammer. I don't think he spent any of his resources. Let's just check, do the relic switch. And yeah, we haven't seen him tech up at all yet. So it's just going to be the standard Cromwell. You can tell by the tail on the back end whether it's going to be the Comet or the Cromwell. But I think it's a sensible choice, really, because he's got so much fuel, but he can just keep burning the Cromwells out really quickly.
Look at these 4 Ostroup in there. They've just literally met a very nasty foe. It's going to fire through one of the windows of this house. As is the Stug, though, with good fire coming there. And just to thwart him momentarily. Good flank though from Hans with the Brens coming from the rear side of this MG. The vetted MG will not want to lose. Barton needs to react quickly to get it out of there.
Kind of exciting. We're coming up to the 30 VP mark, where Barton normally just seems to pull something out of the magic hat, and we do expect to see that, really. He's got the 2 Stugs on the field now. He's able to deal with these tanks. It just comes down to the right play, and he's still got the left side. He's still got that 1 VP, buying him a little more time to play with, but he's, you know, I think a very good push through the center. You know, could do it.
Really could.
Railway artillery now as well.
Railway artilleries, 2 Stugs, which aren't renowned for their mobile chasing opportunities, but they can be used as such, especially if you've got the infantry support. But he does not have infantry support. He has 3 MGs and a sniper and 2 mortars, so he's not exactly a mobile force to contend at the moment. So not too sure.
We're about to see Hans break some serious rules of the Geneva Convention. They're trying to roll in with the Crocodile just to flame the medics at the medic base. And
But the Brits do win World War II, don't they? So they won't get taken to the Hague, any of those tank members, will they? It'll be fine.
Oh, no,
that's great. It's great. Yeah,
yeah,
it's great. Don't worry.
It's fine as long as the other people don't know.
Yeah, it's fine. As long as you win the war, it's great. Don't worry about it. Here we go. We've got the Brens firing on this poor lonely Pioneer here. MG doing some great work as well.
He's just got to find the right composition to come around this. But Hans has rightly countered this by going double Cromwells. It means he's going to be able to dive this unit in, have the Crocodile come up for support, and he'll just be able to burn everything whilst everything's, you know, all eyes destruction on the Cromwell. Railway artillery's just been called in the centre, but that's going to deny Barton the ability to go in as well. Not really sure attacking the VPs when you need to get on them is necessary.
He's angry at the VPs, so he's like, why don't I have you? He's cleared the way for the Ostroup, and however they will be coming to try and take this VP, but you do of course have the MG with the newly constructed sandbags waiting for it. Of course the Churchill with the Crocodile flamethrower upgrade as well, waiting for it in the midst.
This Barton's putting some telemines up in the base. I think he's building them slightly back because he knows Hans might just ground attack here to take that chance. So he's building them in a very good position just in case those tanks do roll in. Hans has got some of his own, of course, just in case Stugs decide to push too far. But this is defining moments for Barton here because he absolutely has to make a play now. He's got 60 VPs left. It's now or never.
It's now or never for Barton. He needs to make one of his famous Barton-esque plays. He's now dipping to the Barton zone and VPs 50 and below, where he suddenly seems to find a 5th gear you do not expect him to have. He's got a 3rd Stug in the build. Can he afford to wait for that? We'll have to wait and see. He'll be around 40 VPs, 30 VPs by the time it hits the field. It's going to take a second to get on the field. He'll be trying to dawn on the... Oh, but here we go. He might lose one in the meantime.
Yeah, that's right. The Cromwells are now deciding to come in. This is the push. Crocodile is also there for support. Going to burn the support weapons as these units go in. They're trying to get the flank, but they're actually penetrating from the front anyway. One more shot is going to down this Stug. Where do we have the second one at the moment? There he goes. That goes down. Second Stug is not able to deal with the Crocodile coming in. And I think we see concentrated fire option from Hands again, which means more of those large artillery shells are going to be raining down. It might even hit. Nope.
No. It's where he first clicks on the first one. The second Stug is now very, very much a second Stug rather than a 3rd Stug. Anything Barton had planned has just been utterly thwarted by HelpingHans with that expert level push. He's not going for all in pushes. He's just whittling his opponent down bit by bit in a methodical, meticulous fashion, almost like a butcher at work.
He's got to feel absolutely great about this. He was 404 VPs in game 1. He might win this game with 467, which means Barton would have to win 3 times in a row to win this series. And I actually wonder, a small part of me is like, is Barton... We've seen Barton take 2 easy games before, you know?
All I know
we know this to be true.
Yeah, I know Barton's playing. I would fully expect him to be playing at his full capacity, absolutely, against HelpingHans the first 2 games. It's almost just in his nature. He can't help it that when the chips are down, suddenly he starts really going for it. He finds something within himself that allows him to just be a very good competitor. But HelpingHans on paper right now is looking very likely to be taking this, unless the odds ribbon can cap. They cannot. They are pinned, which stops the cap when the red icon flashes. But yeah, it looks very likely that HelpingHans has made it.
We'll see though, because Barton very famously just hitting the 30 VP mark. He's going to make that all-important push this time to try and get the Cromwells. 2 Stugs are going to try and make those hits count, but Hands is well in on the counter push. Cromwell's launched into action. I think, does that look like war speed? He must have taken up the hammer though, I think, to get there. And this is going to be the final nail in the coffin for Barton. That has got to be GG.
It has absolutely got to be GG. Those 2 Cromwells destroyed that Churchill Crocodile tank there, and HelpingHans is sitting pretty on 2-0 in favour of the Hansy man. He's got a lot of fans in chat. You can see excessive profanities, just jerk Josh. These are all guys, subscribers to HelpingHans, the supporters of his channel. They've got the emotes wherever you see the yellow and black GG and the wrecked there. It's 2-0 to him, and everybody knows just how much he has riding on this in terms of pride. He's spoken on his channel just how much he despises Barton, and he's had this historic nemesis rivalry with him. So 2-0 up now. It's looking good for him.
It is looking good. It's a good day to be a HelpingHans fan, because he's putting on what is it? You can only describe it as like the way KOTU is meant to be played.
Yes.
You know, like they said, NVIDIA, the way it's meant to be played. This is HelpingHans, the way it's meant to be played.
Yeah, definitely.
And he's doing a damn good job of that. So I mean, even when we have reservations on him stacking fuel, like there's a reason for it, and it's because he's focusing on the infantry build. He's playing it well. He's doing a good job. And yeah, I mean, Barton's got a lot of work to do.
Barton, as an autopsy of that particular game, made a big build order decision that was so wrong. He got a 3rd MG out when he knew he was against the commander HelpingHans had chosen.
The Special Weapons Regiment.
I thought it was called that in my head, but yeah, I wasn't sure. For those that don't know, I know the commanders by the things they have in them, not their actual names. I think a lot of players are like that, to be honest. But regardless, he knew that was the commander of choice. He knew the Crocodile could be coming out. It was 25 minutes into the game. It's like, I'm going to build a 3rd MG. It's like, no, you don't do that. You need to get a Pack 40 out maybe, or something that can contend with this Churchill Crocodile that's just igniting your troops and burning them to a crisp. I'm not too sure about that one, Barton, and I think you possibly need to, consider, maybe picking better units that way into the game in the 3rd game.
Yeah, it's a difficult situation for him, but we do expect, the 3rd one, he's probably going to play Soviets again. I think that's his strong point. He has the option to do that, right? We can actually go out and check what he's picked. because the game hasn't obviously showed up yet, but we'll see what's happening on the battle planner right now. Looks like Barton is going to be playing Soviets again, HelpingHans as the Austere. And just look at that, 402 VPs, 467 VPs. We now go to Faymanville Approach, which is a great map, and this is where we saw Barton, you know, play really well against Korean Army.
He's got a historic past on Faymanville Approach, has the Barton man. We will just have a look if that game is live and spectatable as of yet, Dan, just momentarily, because I'm going to suggest we should. It's not as of right now.
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, I suggest to our dear fans that we show them the very first intro video that we unleashed that announced the arrival of the Grand Championship Series back in March. And it was the first video that announced the Kickstarter. We raised £2,000 in 20 minutes, and it made this entire event possible. So this was the event where this is the video that everybody saw that was like, oh crap, a massive COTU tournament's coming. So let's show them this, and then let's get back on with the HelpingHans Barton series.
Let's do it. This is Paula's moment entirely, though. He absolutely has to nail this right down. The micro has got to be perfect. There we go. He manages to use more speed to get the Comet around the back of the Panther. What he really has, and he's about to take down the Pershing. Let's not fault this. He still has the Sturmtiger. The Pershing is down. Devem is so far off another vehicle right now. The Sturmtiger has a great opportunity to go in and deal some damage. He has to get control of VP immediately.
He's going to try and find the south, and now he's going to focus on the units. IG-152 backs into the headquarters sector. Panther's going to have difficulty trying to get through to that rear armour whilst it's rotating. Indeed, it does. Oh, Panzerwerfer with a massive barrage! Bam! Oh, dear God! That's genocide! Oh, rocket artillery genocide! The Pumas are blocking it, it's trying to retreat, but they've got double block on it, and they get rid of it almost immediately! Great call by Stormers, great play by Barton, using the bonus cover road to retreat, going all the way around the rear. No snares, no mines, Barton 1, Luvnest 0 when it comes
to slow, trying to get the infiltration nades off. Does a little bit of damage, and he may be able to force that unit out of there, but here's the risk. Command Panther on the ice. Cromwell is close.
Oh no! Oh, this is like Jack and Rose. Looks likely that in the most ridiculous play in Company of Heroes 2 history, with all of his vehicles on tiny fractions of health, Barton has rescued this from the fires of bloody Hades. Dear Christ, what a game.
Hello everybody, we are back, ready to go into game 3 of the series at the moment, which is HelpingHans versus Barton. You guys can see the current score on the screen at the moment. Will we see another one of our top seeds instigate a 3-0, or can Barton do the seemingly impossible against Hans and clear the next 3 games of the series?
We have seen some amazing 3-2 victories in GCS, but these most recent competitive games in the grand finals, the quarterfinals rather, there's only been one loss, and it was Devem, and he was using OKW in a fashion that he doesn't usually use them, so he was already 2-0 up. It was like, Devem possibly riding a little bit not as strong as he could have done. Regardless, I'm still thinking that today's action has been awesome. The 3-0 win from Luvnest versus Aimstrong. Whoever hasn't seen it yet, make sure you watch the cast back on YouTube. They're very competitive matches, every single one of them. And you'll see little intricacies that are delightful to watch from both players in those games. In this series, we're not going to count Barton out for a second. We've experienced the egg-on-face moment that is counting Barton out. If you ever do that, it's you're a fool, quite frankly. Barton has made the biggest comebacks in history. He made the biggest comeback in history in SNF 5. In this tournament, the big tournament that Kotuda.org and Army did before OCF, it was basically 4 qualified tournaments and which produced 4 champions and contenders. So you had everybody had 4 chances to make it to the finals. Barton lost the first 3. Like he lost,
I remember.
He lost the first 3, and on the last chance, Ami was calling him the last chance kid. I think Ami actually liked him at this point before he begun to hate him. Yeah, he came back and it was awesome. So he's made so many comebacks in ESL history that we've cast. Never ever count the Polish man out. I think we're good and ready to get going.
We are ready to go. Yeah, I was just taking a little more of a breather, to be honest, because casting these games. I mean, like we found when Tenchi came in. Tenchi's a StarCraft 2 caster.
He was terrible at Co2 casting. He couldn't keep up, could he?
He
He had no endurance. He was used to 5-minute Zergling wins, and
it was more like the length of the games. Like it's, you know what I mean? Because like it's like that pacing. It's just so long, and it's so you have to keep your mind on everything. It's exhausting.
We're Iron Man.
But we'll do it for you guys. We'll do it for you guys. We'll get into the next game, which is ready now. Do we roll the intro? We should do.
Yeah, of course. We're professionals, man. We got this cool Japanese-looking intro. Let's do it. Hello and welcome to Game 3 of the last of the quarterfinals. Who is the player that's going to be joining the likes of Devem, Von Ivan, Luvnest? It's going to be one of these 2 guys, Barton PL or HelpingHans. Barton PL, the comeback king, is in the north as the Soviets.
That's right, and he's going to be playing up against HelpingHans as the Austere, who immediately launches into Ostrupen. Ostrupen against Soviets, and bear in mind, we just saw Barton lose with Ostrupen in the last game. Hans is saying, hey, I'm going to show you how this is done.
He's the Ostrupen maestro. He's the guy that wrote the guide to Ostrupen on Kotuda.org's guide section. He made them popular before HelpingHans thought, I can make these guys work. Nobody played Ostrupen. He was the man that made them somewhat popular for a very brief spell in 2014, and here he is rocking them in a tournament. Game 3 of a quarter-final to decide if he goes up to Leicester to stand on the grand stage. If well, he'll have to get through Luvnest first, surely. We're not quite in the semi-finals yet, Dan. Control yourself.
Don't talk to me about that. Let's just have a quick look at the early game here. There's something that I don't want to miss about this, which is Hans seeing maybe in the last game how Barton had gone for this single engineer. And what that means is that tier 1 for the Soviets is slow to the field, and maybe that's why Ostrupen has come out. It's going to be able to flood the map quickly. It's going to be able to maybe get into some of the dominant buildings, and more importantly, just take as many strategic points as possible to get the resources pumping, to make sure he can get into that tier 2 very, very quickly. And he knows that's good against Soviets. He knows it's good against the penals. He can get the flamer on the half track, and you know, this is standard for him. I think he's doing a really good, well thought out thing here.
It is a very well thought out thing to do, but he's going to have a series of well thought out things to do in order to remain victorious in this game. Barton is playing as the Northern Soviet player, as you may have already seen. He's got 2 penal battalions. We were very interested to see in the game one whether he might be going as a masterstroke of going Lend-Lease. And I would not say masterstroke lightly, because Barton usually goes counter-attack tactics, and he never really goes Lend-Lease. But everybody knows HelpingHans hates that commander to play against it. And I thought it would be kind of cute or malevolent, whichever way you want to look at it, for Barton to possibly draw that out of the bag. And he is, again, possibly feigning it with the penal battalion usage of Tier 1 here.
Oh yes, and look at the map control in the early game coming out now. It's completely taken advantage of that slow Tier 1 Soviets. He's got double fuel already. Double fuel plus a bunch of strategic points. We want to see Hans hitting that battle phase 1 already, which he is. How many times do we get to see this? It's like clockwork. It's magic from Hans. It's a great little build to counter the timings in the game, and not many people think about the timings of things. The early game is crucial. Hans is a pro at this.
He is. He's got the timings nailed down. There's not a single wasted breath or wasted motion when HelpingHans plays the game, because he's on top of his game. He's the only professional to play Company of Heroes 2. By that I mean he makes a living from streaming this game, and that's not to be taken lightly. There's nobody outside of Vancouver that makes a living with regards to Company of Heroes 2 except for HelpingHans James Whiteside. And the hours show he's a well-tuned engine. He's utterly, seemingly unbeatable at times. When he plays the game. A game, by the way, which is on sale right now in Steam. If you're one of the very few people that don't already own it, you can pick it up for a mere pittance and begin playing this very day.
Well, we do see the satchel charge there. Barton loves blowing up his own guys with satchel charges. We saw it previously versus Korean Army, wiping out a Mortar and his own squad. He does not care once he throws that satchel charge.
Yes, he's a malevolent spirit even to his own men, it seems. Is that the Tier 2 already being built and based by those pioneers?
Yeah,
yes, it is indeed.
He wants to get this out as quick as possible, because he's going to know that Barton doesn't have the munitions to get the PTRSs. He doesn't really have the munitions, even after throwing that satchel, to be able to use the sticky satchel. So Hans going to go in with that half-track. I highly anticipate that this is going to be the flame half-track. I also highly anticipate that it may end up in his opponent's base in the first couple of minutes it's on the field.
There we go, and we've got the half-track indeed. Could be ending up in the base. That flamethrower projectile's looming. That's Dan's vision for Barton's future. I'm sure it's not a vision Barton would like to entertain. Penal battalion's coming out of scope there. The MG42 does indeed open up. They jump back into the base to escape any suppression, but do have to lick their wound back in base to survive.
There's the half-track we're talking about. Hans putting some great pressure on. Triple cap already in the early game. Look at this! 150 VPs down 5 minutes into the game. This is looking like an incredible game for Hans right now. So much dominance. The flamethrower is already going up. He's got so many resources to play with thanks to that early domination.
Absolutely, Ostruben have great capacity to do that. It is their great winning thing. They're very cheap. Come onto the field, 180 manpower, and you can just spam them, quite frankly. They've not been spammed in this case, only 3 of them, but still, that little window where the penals aren't being built because Tier 1 takes a little while to get rolling, you know, that just allows the Ostruben to soak up the map. And here we go. Now the next stage of HelpingHans' plan is complete, and the penal battalions are about to be smoked.
They are indeed. You've got penal battalions here, do not want to lose models. They're going to have to go back into the base. It's really a point where Barton has got to be pushing the VPs. He goes for the reserve army, popularized, I think, the other day by Talisman, when we saw how he was using it to get mass, critical mass on the field. But he really has to find a way of dealing with the half-track at the moment, and I haven't seen him use the time he had to plant mines down. Partisan anti-tank hunters are going to be the choice for this. 270
manpower required to allow his little partisans to jump out of a shed with a Panzerschreck on their shoulder and try and attempt to take out this half-track that's causing him so many issues right now.
We have seen this work. You know, we have seen it that the AT partisans just pop out, pop the AT nade. They do have to be careful with this one though. It's not like the scout car, because they can get burned and they're going to have to keep moving.
Yeah.
Hans jumps in the building. I think actually maybe even predicting that this might happen. Not sure, but he's given a tiny little chance for Barton to pop out with the anti-tank. There we go, but he's going to get the first shot off and not in a position to use the anti-tank grenade.
No, It wasn't ideal, and in some ways the plan was scuppered. He does now at least have a Panzerschreck at all times in order to keep the half-track at bay and hopefully try and push this central victory point, because he really needs to try and attain it. Got a Panzer Grenadier out as well, so some Sturmgewehrs on the field from that elite troop unit from Tier 2. No Panzerschreck upgrade required. Of course, he's not up against any form of vehicle, but it's a good amount of damage to be able to field.
There's the flame half-track again. Look at the range of those flames, burning the penal battalions out of cover. They've got to cross the negative of the road now into the Panzer Grenadiers. Barton's hitting a mass retreat right now. He needs to get off the field. Fortunately, he's managed to get his 1 VP, so he's trying to like stabilize the VP situation at the moment. But this is, do you know what, like, one thing I really, really like, the kind of meta that we see from Soviets now, which is this Tier 1. It is about, you know, getting the penal battalions on the field. And you know, we've had two players. We had Aimstrong do it against Jeslin. We're having Hans do it now with Ostrup for the, you know, for the Oster. It can be countered just due to its timing, due to how slow it is to get on the field. This is where Von picks up with the second engineer, but Barton just hasn't done that. He always just goes one engineer into the penals. It takes ages for him to field any units onto any points. So Hans has done a really good job here. He's just made a very, very good strategy for dealing with that situation, and just look how it's paying off for him.
It's paying off absolute dividends at the moment. A little bit of a slower feel to this game. Of course, Ostrupen like to be behind cover at all times to get that increased rate of fire. It's mostly about Barton struggling to cope with the half-track. Doesn't have the adequate counters at the moment. He's got 4 platforms of SVTs that would have to get stupidly close in order to get an anti-tank satchel off. And he's, to be honest, just relying on 1 Shrek from 1 partisan, which has allowed HelpingHans, with usage, of course, of the MG in the centre, to maintain great map control. And he's just choking the life out of Barton as we speak.
He is, yeah. Panzer Grenadiers lying in wait, just in case any units come around the corner. Ostrupen are going to be able to deal quite well with the penal battalions, I think, as they cross the negative cover, but he misses the opportunity, I think. Sorry, the neutral cover. I think he misses the opportunity, so he's trying to get in cover of his own.
There you go. We've got interesting engagements as the partisans try and take on an MG in the centre. That's not going to go too well for them.
Might have just seen a bundle made off there. I'm not sure what that was that went off. Every time Barton pushes an area, Hans has got something there. I think he's just predicting that Barton's going to be moving left to right constantly, just putting feelers out to see if there's any place in the lines that he can break. He may have just found one here, and he may decide to push this avenue quickly.
It's one of those situations where I think HelpingHans just has every answer he needs. He's able to cope with what Barton's got, and he's just outclassing him at every level at the moment, as we see 2 fields of S-mines there. So the penal battalions are not going to be able to push north at the moment. This is a masterclass, and it's almost as like a guide advertisement video for how to play CO2, and in this case how to play as HelpingHans is one of his favourite commanders. He's even got one of his emotes on Twitch as Hans Truppen, as the Ostrupen. So it's a masterclass from him, and Barton is, unfortunately for him, failing to deliver on his hype as an elite level tournament player, because Hans is just outclassing him. We're looking all over the map as we now finally see the penals manage to make it out of there. He's trying to focus down his Ostrup, and I'm loving the idea of this. He's got the penals in the centre. He's finally taking the victory points down. He's 217 remaining. He is, of course, locked into this commander that doesn't have any call-in vehicles, so he's going to be relying on getting tier 3 to try and get something out to contend, because he needs something to contend as early as possible. He's now sweeping for the mines in the north there. So just as we started to write as a victory, Barton shows signs of life as he neutralises 2 of the victory points and starts to try and get back into this thing 11 minutes in.
He's not leaving himself much time at nearly 200 VPs at the moment. Double Pioneers are out. They're going to be trying to close the gap in the same way that the Assault Grenadiers have been trying to. But Hans, look at this cheeky decap here. It's going to be denying anything that Barton is trying to cap on the right-hand side. Flamer Half-Track is still doing great work at negating the penals. And, it is really good gameplay from Hans, who is teched up to tier 3 and is building the Ostwind as we speak.
Oh my god, that's going to be a murderous answer to what Barton has on the field at the moment. It's going to be, the Flak Panzer is a great anti-infantry vehicle. It's going to suppress, it's going to kill, it's going to maim, it's going to destroy.
Ostwind ready for deployment.
Here it is. If you ever wanted to see what this looked like in orange and black, you will be able to see it now, as Hans loves using the skin for unknown reasons. It's,
Attempting to steal our
I think
sector.
he found out you only had historical skins unlocked, so you went with the most garish one he could.
Funnily enough, I mean, Hans hasn't been like hot on the VPs in this series. I really like thinking a little weakness of his, perhaps, that he's kind of always sitting off of the VPs, really Barton. Unnecessary chances to come back. The Shreks are starting to make little bits of work now. The Ostwind actually isn't able to stop the advance of these that well. A second shot, but he did manage to force the half track, which is now vet 2 back into Hans's base. The question is, can he keep this up? Can he keep using these anti-tank partisans? He gets the 18-8 off. He's gonna have to do serious work to take down, take down this tier 3 Ostwind.
The victory point count has now been stopped for the first time. Barton with 186 remaining. He's got 2 partisan tank hunters that he'll need to keep using. He's possibly losing an engineer, just did get away there. Penal Battalion's going for fuel finally. Barton does need to get some fuel. Only has 146, but that's without teching and without getting any vehicles on the field as of yet.
Such a huge defensive position for Hans. He's got everything he needs. He not even needs him to repair the Ostwind. There's nothing that's going to be flanking at this point. He knows it. He must also know as well, thanks to having the anti-tank partisans out, what Barton's gone for. So he knows that there's not that kind of calling he has to worry about when he starts hitting 8 CP. He won't have to worry about that KV1. It looks like rapid conscription is on, so Barton probably is going to make a big rush now. It doesn't matter what he loses here, because it's just going to give him conscripts.
Yes, absolutely. He needs to lose 6 models on his various infantry as he pushes in order to gain a free conscript squad. And he can get up to 2 in the 84 seconds he's got left on this ability. So here he goes, throwing his units into a flat Panzer's way. And trying to get those Panzer Shreks just to the north of your picture there to try and take out the Ostwind. They miss wildly though, and they're met with the 3 MP40s of that Pioneer squad. And the damage is done well met by Helping Hands.
Look at this preemptive satchel charge. Hans hasn't seen it, I don't think.
Oh, there's a 7-man satchel right there, which is Barton showing he has capabilities to get back into this. You don't know with games we've seen, some of you that are watching this, you think this series is over. We know differently. Barton has pulled things out of the fire of Hades in the past, and he's made things work.
He really has. He gets a nice little decap there. Look at Hans's resources at the moment. They've just dwindled down to 13 as Barton gets the successful decaps he needs to reserve his place in the game. He has to work very hard right now to make anything like this work. However, rapid conscription, we're starting to see those conscripts come in now, bit by bit. They'll be coming out onto the field. Still got 30 seconds of it left. For him to lose a couple more units. There we go, another one on the field.
Here comes the armoured cavalry through the centre. The Ostwind and the Panzer Veer are in the centre, and they're going to cause absolute issues for the infantry composition of Barton. The heavy infantry composition of Barton. No support weapons, no vehicles, just infantry. It's very difficult to see how Barton can cope with a triage of vehicles that Helping Hands has. That's right, a Vet 2 half track with a flamethrower upgrade, and 2 of the vehicles you can get from tier 3, the Ostwind and the Panzer 4.
Well, I'll tell you one thing that he can do, which it looks like he's starting to do. He's going to spread Hans out. He's gone onto the right-hand side. He's still making some attempts through the middle, but also he's very importantly decapping VP on the left-hand side. Once these units start spreading out, he has back tech to tier 2. The AT gun is now in build, so he's going to be able to bring something out that might start helping deal with the tier 3 build from Hans. He'll have the 18 aids. He'll be able to chase him with the anti-tank partisans. So let's see if he can make this work.
Also clearing S-mines with his face there. The Ostwind stops the cap in the south. Barton's bleed has begun again. He's dripping down very slowly through the 160s. He still has life in the old dog yet though, and he's still contending. He does need to of course get this Zis gun working for him, and he'll need to eventually get some form of vehicle, one would hope.
Yeah, we'll see. I think he's in a position where we're not going to see that for the moment. I think most of his manpower is going to be spent on trying to make this work, and it has to work. It's the only thing he has that can work right now.
Blocking there the retreat path with the Panzer Grenadiers, allowing the Osttroopers to claim the kill. That's expert level play from Helping Hands.
Nice double suppression there. Barton straight on the retreat. Barton clearly watching multiple engagements at once. Penal battalions are going to go up to deal with his Ostrich in there, and the AT gun might reveal itself for the first time now as the Ostwind is pushing territory again. Hans is probably wondering, why haven't we seen an AT gun already? He's about to find out that one is now on the field, but he's constantly having to move around to try and stop the VPs that are being decapped by Barton, and that will be what brings him back into the game. Barton's just someone that needs time in these situations.
Time is something that he can't afford to rely on in this case, because Helping Hands' victory point count has not dropped below 8, below 500. We've all seen the games where Barton somehow gets back into it though, and a 500 victory point count suddenly diminishes itself, but is that going to be one of those situations?
I think it might be. I still think it has the potential to be. You know, Barton has enough on the field. He's using rapid conscription again. I mean, he can just keep using this until he has loads and loads and loads. Reinforcing the penals as we saw Talisman do in the previous series. And there's loads of options for him here. The Partisans are starting to build up veterancy as well. Maybe that's going to help them be a little bit more efficient when dealing with the medium tier vehicles from the Austere. But Hans is going to stick on this tier, so a good appropriate response. He doesn't have that call in. A good response to this tier from Barton, you know, could be good.
Could be extremely good. The Panzer Shreks doing decent work at keeping the Panzer Fear at bay there. You've got the Penal Battalion capping up north. You've got a victory point claimed in the south, so he's keeping the bleed stemmed. He's like got a tourniquet made of, you know, tissue paper at the moment. It's very flimsy, but it is stopping the blood pouring out of his arteries, and that blood is of course the life source of his army, the victory point count meter in the center top of your screen.
Very, very interestingly, just seen Hans has gone up to battle phase 3. I think his intention is actually to get off of the tier 3 structures he's got and move up to tier 4 thanks to that unlock. So interesting to see what he's going to bring out of that. Do you think?
Do you imagine the Brum Bear? Could you imagine the Brum Bear? Any of the options except for a Panther. You got the Brum Bear or the Panzerwerfer would just demolish Barton.
I think the Werfer, if I'm totally honest. I mean, I think it's more like Hans to go for the Brum Bear, but a Werfer would be very, very nice for the AT gun.
So, for those that don't know, Werfer is German for throw, and it throws tanks. Panzerwerfer. It's obvious and it's easy.
Makes sense.
Yeah, obvious sense.
Mini tanks.
Mini tanks. Lots of small tanks. Here we go, the two Panzer Shreks coming into vision. Great reactions from Helping Hands. Jesus Christ, he's godlike, isn't he? It's like, how did he react so fast? That would have been like, do.
Yeah, he's constantly scouring the field though. He's constantly assessing where Barton's coming from. He knows where to look and what times. Barton's making use of the stealth abilities from the anti-tank partisans there, which means he's going to be able to creep up lots and get those shots off quickly. He's also going to be able to spot for the AT gun, which is very important. All Barton really needs to do here now is flood the center, push Hands off of the center, and he's got a pretty good opportunity to reclaim the mid.
He has. He actually has. We're not amazed though. We're trying to act like we are for the cast, but we have seen Barton just make so many amazing comebacks in the past. I think another thing to point out about Helping Hands, that's somebody that's streamed this game for the best part of 6 years now. He's always playing with his brain preoccupied on chat, on the stream, etc. He's always talking. It's almost as though Muhammad Ali claiming that when he boxes underwater it allows him, like resistance training, or Kenyan runners when they run on mountaintops. You know, playing under resistance and like having your brain allocated to streaming, suddenly when he's solely occupied on tournament play and he's just in his bedroom on his computer and he's just playing extremely well, it just allows him to open up and he's firing on full cylinders, and that's what you start to see from James. He really does become so reactive. Look at that Ostwind, it reacted immediately to the Panzer Shrek, gets out of there, is safe. He's a micro king at times.
He is, but someone else who appears to be making a little bit of an impressive performance now is Barton, he's had a terrible start to this game, but it looks like he's recovering. Barton really is like the Hydra. You cut that down and it comes back with 2, and that's very true of the rapid conscription that he's actually using right now. You know, he is like the Hydra. He's managed to secure himself 2 VPs. He's flooding the place with conscripts to get his fuel back. If he approaches the left side, he could push Hans back. Hans has only got Ostrupen.
And every 10 VPs, Hans loses now to this strat. this very spammy strat, he's going to be thinking, oh my god, it's happening again. It's happening again. I'm 2-0 up. I'm riding high on my, my pride. Everything I've said to chat is true. I'm going to be able to go on my stream tomorrow and tell everybody it just happened just like I said it would. And then all of a sudden, Barton with the troll face, with the kappa, he's like... It's almost as though it's like by design. It's perfectly psychologically deployed to rile James up. And just look at the Soviet reserve. Every unit you kill, it's just going to go wrong. So we do have a Brumbear in the build, though, so the Sturmpanzer will be coming out.
That's an interesting choice. I mean, with the amount of time that Barton's had now, he's actually stacking up some resources to the point where, he doesn't really need to reinforce everything. He can merge with the conscripts, and then he's able to save up his manpower. We could see him tech. We could see him get some vehicles out, and SU-85 would be perfect as a complement to this army. I really wonder if we're going to see that happen.
SU-85 is going to be necessary, quite frankly, because I know Barton has a lot of units, but the Brumbear's an expert in destroying said units. That heavy projectile mortar round will just dissipate them. It's got a high explosive capacity, and oh god. He's got both the Brumbear and an Ostwind against a heavy infantry build. It's just one Zis gun and 2 Panzerschrecks standing in the way. What's that the combat engineer's building right now for Barton? Is that tier 4?
This would be tier 3 going
up.
Oh,
and then
because
he needs to get tier 3 first, yes,
so,
of course.
So there is the restriction there, but yeah, I think that's going to be the option. When you have this much manpower in the field, you're not going to need to go for something like a T-34. It's probably going to be the 85, and he's just going to be able to roll it up under this huge pressure of infantry. But right now he just has to focus, of course, on holding that front line with a huge first shot from the Brumbear, tearing through the AT gun. Panzer Grenadiers Vet 3 trying to get into to help out the situation. We have it looks like the squad's going to go down there for Barton. That's not one that he wanted to lose with the anti-tank Shreks.
Pretty heroic, though.
Yeah, you could say that.
What they did there. The Ostwind's getting a bit leery now, starting to get into position. I think, yes, indeed, Barton's now building his 4th tier structure, the mechanised company. Oh no, still on Tankovi. Okay, he'll be on that next. He'll be on that next. I thought we'd waited long enough. Never mind, but he will be, of course, going for tier 4.
Because he's got 2 of the engineers and he hasn't reinforced them, it's a slower build time.
So. Right, of course. God, this game is so intricate, isn't it?
You have so much to remember, and that's why the top players demand so much respect.
That's why they stay on the top for so many years. These guys have been duking it out for ages, because they've invested so much time in learning this game. It's like the top players never really stop playing Co as well, because I think Jeshin will be back, for example. He says he won't be, but he will be. They all will be. They all keep coming back because it's a love-hate relationship with this RTS. In my opinion, the greatest RTS of all time. Company Heroes series has taken as a whole this excellent sequel now in 2017, and what a game we're being treated to here. He's trying to go for the decap there. Dan's having to lower the pan on his camera because it's that much in the picture to capture. The Panzer Fears duking it out against 3 units in the top there, going for the victory point. Barton blobbing them around, macro movement, because his micro is so being spent on all of the infantry he encompasses in his vast army. He's also capping the southern victory point as we speak. He's going for that as well. Very well for the Polish.
He's doing really good. And also look at the veterancy on the penal battalions. They're performing so well against the Ostgruppen now. I mean, that's really the backbones of what Hans has. If he can clear them with the penal battalions, then he's able to just pop out the 18 partisans. We see them come out again there, but they don't get the 18 aid. This is all about, I think, him getting something from tier 4. And I think when that comes out, then I think he's going to have,
Oh, he just crewed the Ziscon in time, but now it's still going to get destroyed regardless. The Ziscon was being attacked to the ground by the Brumbear. He crewed it, and then he lost it for good. So that hits his anti-tank gun down. He's still relying on the 2 Panzerschrecks, of course, and the anti-tank grenades from his vast swathe of infantry. But it looks like HelpingHans is back on the ascendancy. However, you will notice Barton has capped the northern and the southern victory points, so his bleed is still stemmed on 98.
It's very, very important that he managed to get that. But Hans is really committing to the centre now. I think he's trying to go for some kind of choke. But actually what's happening is he's allowing Barton ample time to get the resources in. And he needs to be maybe focusing on the decap on these, but the VPs are the way to finish Barton here. His Hans going to make that choice?
Hans needs to base dive, in all honesty. He needs to. He got the Panzerwerfer as well, you'll be pleased to hear, but he needs to base dive. He needs to finish him, because if he gets that tier 4 up and gets a counter out, this build could suddenly show itself. But it's not going to allow it to do it. Here comes the Brumbear with that big shot, annihilating 2 squads instantly.
Of course, rapid conscription is not on at the moment, which means those squads are not going to get replaced. Have the
Oh, long distance
That
AT
was
grenade.
the longest AT grenade I think I've ever seen. That was impressive, to say the least. I've got to say, to be totally honest with you, Barton isn't in a completely bad position. Hans, lost a fair bit, but Hans has these weapons that are going to cause huge damage. I think this is where it's going to be, you know what I mean? Like,
This is such a westernized vision of the Second World War. You got the vast swathe of Soviet infantry somehow beating the superior technology of the Wehrmacht, and that's exactly what it is. The armour you see in front of you is in the centre of the battlefield, but the bigger picture possibly could be, after we tell the tale of the tape at the end of the game, the massive infantry in the top left of your screen of Barton, and he is building that tier 4 now, and he will be looking to get the Su-85 counter out.
is literally it. But Hans doing a very good job of breaking down Barton's army here. It's got to happen over time. He's making very, very good grounds, and that it's just conscripts. I mean, obviously Barton hasn't paid for these, so I feel like he's treating them almost with an irresponsibility, just trying to get back and cause any kind of pass that he can. It's counterproductive because he's really
Oh, brutalising whatever was there. I don't think he got that too much with it, but he did get an assassination. Barton was able to get out of there with those units and make it to the western side there. Some narrowly avoided catastrophe there, Barton.
Why won't Hans focus on VPs? Like, I really, really wonder this. Look at these units. Why are they capping resources when your opponent, when you're entering into the semi-finals, is 100 VPs away from defeat in a third game? You know, it's beyond me how he could be neglecting this right now.
He really shouldn't. The Brumbears, 21 kills so far. This thing is a killing machine. It's now going to find another target. The Hull Gunner could finish off that unit. And that does require them Mortar around, but still just throwing them in there to try and get these free. And he's going to relinquish. He's going to not allow him to get those infantry squads. Su-85 finally in the build, by the way.
It is. I don't think it's going to come out in time, though, at all. Look at these shots from Hans. I think he's parting them with the ground attack here. We've got the bundle made on the retreat. It's just so much for Barton to deal with. And Hans has got 511 munitions to spend on just constantly using railway artillery on the entrances to the base. So it really is looking like it's going to be the GG here for Barton. Like, I can't see it. I really can't see
How many
it.
times have we said this?
I
though?
know, but I just...
In this particular situation, with the amount of armour Hans has, it's going to require something miraculous. We're praying for a miracle for Barton if he wants to rescue this quarter-final and not be the second recipient of a 3-0 victory in this game. Su-85 finding the frontal armour of the Brumbears, doing good work there. Nearly finds it again. Panzerwerfer comes in yet again. Oh, demolishing one squad.
Actually got that squad. I think Barton was like, I need to stay here. I'll just dodge that. But of course he doesn't. Doesn't at all. Unfortunately, he didn't have rapid conscription on. These are actually just being built at the moment, coming on from previously. So it's a difficult situation. At least he is getting more units on the field. He's getting his munitions worth with 2 conscript squads there. So it's really, really important this Su-85 gets to work now.
Absolutely. The Su-85 needs to do a hell of a lot of work. It's got to get in there. It's got to attack. It's got to be very, very well used. And it's a difficult unit to use at times, the Su-85. It's almost like a train on rails. It's got to be accurate. It's got to get those shots in, and then it's not got to be flanked.
They're trying to just deal something against the waves of conscript that are coming in. They're forcing the Osttroopen back. Barton's going for the decap on the central VP. Hans is putting up an MG on the left, which I think is a very sensible idea, but this game would be over now if Hans had have just capped those VPs and gone for a triple cap. This would have been over ages ago, and he's actually allowed Barton to come back a little bit. He's allowed Barton an opportunity, which I think he's going to make a big deal of.
Yeah, Barton's still in this. He's got 79 victory points, which might as well be 300 for any other player. There you go. There's something that does not require pop cap. You'll notice on the bottom right of your screen, Hans at 93 of 100. 150 manpower rather spent on that bunker allows him to keep down that victory point on lockdown, and it doesn't take up any of his population cap.
at all. Hans finally about to get on the triple cap, and if he does get that triple cap, all he needs to do is hold those VPs for just over 1 minute of gameplay to knock Barton out of the Grand Championship Series. This is not the way that Barton wants to go down. Look at that shot from the Brumbear. Assault Grenadiers might be able to take some shots to finish it off. He will get away with that, but the Brumbear is delivering huge anti-infantry power against Barton.
It's an absolute beast, and that penal battalion does not know what's about to hit it. The Brumbear's going to reload, refire. Misses this occasion. It was on attack grounding, of course. But there you go. And the Brumbears are getting ready. As Dan pans to a cinematic mode to show that shell. Oh, decimating that squad. There you go. They're stricken bodies. There's only one squad member remaining. Most likely about to die is Railway Artillery and a Panzerwerfer join in tandem. This is going to be ridiculous.
Right, look at this Panzerwerfer on the retreat. Railway Artillery through the centre. Where is it?
It's very fortunate for Barton that neither of those two implements of destruction found their mark from Helping Hands. He's still in this just about, somehow. 35 victory points remaining. He's swarming into the centre. Brumbear's firing. The SU-85 needs to be in the picture in order to thwart it. Pioneers coming into the central victory point capping circle to keep the penal battalions from doing any work. Conscript dies to the Brumbear, which hits veterancy 2, which is very important for its killing potential. Of course, getting minus 10% reload and better armour. So.
Oh gosh, look at that setup from the MG42 there. Just manages to suppress both squads, stopping Barton again from moving over to the left-hand side. I think that was the last chance that Barton had in this game to have any chance of remaining in the Grand Championship Series. It looks like Hans is going to, just put his foot down as really one of the best players in the Company of Heroes 2 community at the moment.
But I have to say, I mean, as we begin, we will give Barton a proper obituary after this game is finished, as his SU-85 explodes, which signals that playback is over. And of course, Barton, we absolutely salute you. You may have been our enemy in the past for trolling us so comprehensively, but well played, well played. Jinkuya Basil, etc. The Branots go to church now. You had a great time playing in this tournament. You defeated Korean Army, a fellow tournament legend. You're a tournament legend. Thank you for playing. But we now have possibly an even bigger rivalry. And a rivalry, not a nasty rivalry. We have the rivalry in Co2. We have Helping Hands versus Luvnest in the semi-final.
That's going to be great. We have the repeat of Helping Hands' win during ESL. Well, we don't know it's going to be the repeat. It could be the alternate history of that ESL game. Luvnest is looking seriously on form. Hands looking seriously on form. I don't know if we've got. I just want to have a look actually at the VP wins from those games.
Yeah,
just
sure.
To see how.
Oh, there they are. They were just on your screen.
Not that I need to get the other one
from
out
the previous one. Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, bear with me a second.
You're going to give a VP comparison?
Yeah, no, I think this is the way that we should go because, of course, with Helping Hands here in that one, winning 3 games, all of them above 400 VPs, 402, 467, 403. And then, of course, we have Luvnest, 466, 428. A difficult last game, scrappy last game, but, showing 2 games very, very strong. I
felt, in all heart of hearts, that I think both games were very even. It's just Luvnest had the edge and he was consistently on form, and Helping Hands had the edge and he was consistently on form. Barton and Aimstrong are fantastic players, and in any other day they could have nicked games off either of these two guys, but GCS is of such a level and such a standard that it's just producing the best players' performances that you can imagine. It's not in a traditional format that we've seen in code history where the players are tired by the time they get to the semis or quarters or final and they've played already 10 games that day and they've got cramp in their wrist, etc. No. In the GCS, it's a best of 5 scenario, so they're not worried, not too much pressure about losing those first 2 games. And also, they've got a full week minimum to prepare. They can practice, they can get in a zen moment, and they're fully ready. They've eaten well, they've drank well, they've got their keyboard layout exactly how they want it on that particular day. They told the family not to disturb them. I was just thinking of little tiny intricacies, but nothing will throw them off their game, quite frankly. Yeah. And they're raring and ready to go. And that's why we've not seen a major upset in GCS. The quarterfinals were the seeds 1 to 8. The semi-finals are the seeds 1 to 4. This tournament has been designed to produce the big name battles we're going to get next weekend in the semi-finals.
Yeah, that is a good point actually. Seeds 1 to 4 are.
In the semis,
All
we've
right,
not
yeah.
we've come so close to having major upsets. Notably, of course, Hooligan with Aimstrong losing 3-2, but so coming close to victory. Also had Refero nearly beating Theodosios in the first round. We've had these big stories, but with regards to the biggest name players, they have been business as usual, literally taking names. And now these 4 guys, so it's 2, are now literally going to collide from left side and right side of the bracket in the semi-finals. And I think today's been great entertainment. We haven't quite seen 3-2 or 3-1 that you might have wanted to really just on paper say it was great, but we know how good it was.
Yeah.
But next weekend now with the semis, it's going to be the story of 4 true winners. Devem, who on paper is the greatest tournament player of all time. Von Ivan, who's the most on form out of any of these people. He's hit a peak this year that he's never been to in the past. And then the guys we've seen today, Luvnest and HelpingHans. You know, it's going to be awesome, these semis.
Yeah, the semi-final. I mean, this weekend was set to be like really, really hype. It has been really, really hype. The semi-finals, you know, like you can imagine, like I find it very difficult to think any of these players could have a bad game if they're on the performance they've been. Do you know what I mean? Like as we've seen them, they're all just 4 players who they've put a lot of recent effort in. They're very good players naturally, and you know, like the semi-finals and up is just, you know, going to be amazing. But I think we have a deserving 4 people here,
Massively,
and honestly, like a very good show from all of them.
So just with regards to timing next weekend, gentlemen, it will, and ladies, there are a few ladies. Sorry, I always say gentlemen by accident. But regardless, timing next weekend, it will be either on Saturday or Sunday. And it will be at the same start time. So be checking Kotu.org, Reddit, Twitter for the exact start time, which we will be announcing probably by tomorrow, at latest Tuesday, for either if it's Saturday or Sunday. Between these 4 great players, it will be most likely Devem, Von Ivan first, and then of course Luvnest, HelpingHans second. But we'll figure it out fully in the coming week. And we've also got something very big to figure out in the coming week. Is the exact place of the venue. We're 95% sure it's in Leicester. It's going to be awesome. We know that bit. It's on the 1st of July. The minimum amount of spectators we can have live is probably 20, but if we get the venue we want, which we're going to, the sponsors in talks with the esports company that we're in talks with, so it's all very people talking to each other, but everything's super positive about GCS. People are like, wow, that's really cool. Like 1,300 viewers consistently today. Oh yeah. Really cool. It's for a 4-year-old game. It feels like it's going places. It's weird, isn't it? But regardless, so everything's really positive. We just can't fully clarify what's going to be happening on the 1st of July. We just know it's going to be awesome at this point. So feel free to book travel arrangements for Leicester if you're one of the benefactors, the main benefactors. I pretty much guarantee you a ticket. All the guys will be able to announce if we've gotten the big venue in the coming weeks. So you'll be able to possibly get a budget flight if you want to come. And it'll be on a first come, first serve basis for people that aren't benefactors. So it's basically.
I just want to raise, by the way, we've got Sir, I'm not going to read his name out, but Sir Pants 99, basically just saying like, oh, it's really spread out. I mean, the reason for that is, quite frankly, the games have to be best of 5. You know, we want to cast every series. We want to give you guys that quality, not cram a tournament into a small space of time. Like, it has to be that way to get. And you know, best of 5 is like really, really good. And of course, the gap between now and the semi-finals and the finals is because we're going to host a live event. We're going to fly players in. We're giving them like the best opportunity they can. And of course, you know, we've already had situations, previous tournaments with, say, like Nagano, where you couldn't fly and it caused issues. Like, we need to have that time to make organizations for travel and make sure players.
This tournament isn't a not going to happen tournament. This is a methodical beast. And I think that's I see what he's trying to say, but he's just wrong. The hype that GCS has built and the growth it has sustained, we're now in a position where an esports company was able to talk to us at a very early stage and now has been able to build possible sponsors to help us get in a proper esports venue for Co2. If we'd just done a weekend traditional Co2 tournament where it's best of 1 for the first 2 rounds, then best of 3 leading to a best of 5 final on the Sunday, Wow, that would have been great. Yeah, great hype there, whatever your name was in chat. Yeah, that would have been good. I think we'll stick to doing the tournament organisation because
We know what we're doing.
we know what we're doing. A week-by-week format where you build the hype. The players have a very good rest. It allows people with something weekly to tune into, which I know our benefactors have loved. It's just that weekly show you get to experience on a Sunday for the past 5 weeks or 7 weeks, whatever you want it.
longer.
It's been going on about 2 months now. People have been able to tune every Sunday and really enjoy themselves, and we've gone from 700 viewers to now double that. So really, really happy with that, to be honest.
It is indeed. But there we go, guys. Another incredible week of Grand Championship Series. Thank you to all of the players that have made it this far. We sadly have to say goodbye to the Talisman. We have to say goodbye to Theodosis. We've got to say goodbye to Aimstrong. And we've got to say goodbye now to Barton. Great players who produced great games. Semi-finals are going to be next week. Keep your eyes open for the exact details on that. And, of course, we're going to roll out with an intro. Well, we'll call it an outro, obviously.
An outro, yeah. And possibly host Helping